Welcome to the Game Changer 00100 show. I'm your host, Game Changer. All right. I'm not going to do an intro today because I want to just get right into this. Um, did I set it at the right time or did I come in at the right time? I don't even know. But what I'm about to say and do must be said and did. I've been, you try to give deference. You try to give deference to somebody for what they created. But here's the thing. I'm going to wait to give some people some time to come up in here. All right, salute to Truth Only. Salute to be fair, Truth Only. Salute to Sweet Melody Speaks. It says to be fair, you knew he was a sellout, yet still chose to be cool with him, hoping to get KS subs, make you a sellout as well. How cool was I actually with him though? And quite frankly, I didn't know that if he was a sellout. I don't. That was a weird statement, but I understand. Some people just like to contradict, and we're going to get into that. We're definitely going to get into that. All right. But what's up, MOT? What's up, Stefan? What's up, Joel? All right. What the hell just happened there? All right. So there's a scene that I want to share with you all from his stream last night. So I didn't watch the whole 3 hours because, like, why? I did watch like a good 30 to 45 minutes of it, skipping parts and stuff like that. And one part, and this was right around the time I stopped listening, one part I had to stop on because this is where the manosphere is broken on a foundational level. And this is something that I've come to learn just being in this space. Now, here's what I mean by being in this space. I wonder if I ever was Manosphere. And I know it seems like, GC, you're just trying to disassociate yourself, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You're just trying to, to sneak out of a burning building or something like that. But no, I mean, like, when I stop and think about it from time to time, right? Like, okay, let's just say a gang, right? Like Crips and Bloods. So you have these gangs. And if I am not mistaken, and those brothers from Southern Cali can correct me if I'm wrong, we don't really have them out here, but if I'm mistaken, they kind of work on a little homie, big homie cultural construct. Meaning that's how you get in. You have like you're the Padawan and they're the Jedi Knight. So you come in under an individual's tutelage, and then you reach a certain point to where you have your own that you bring in, and the chain continues to where you mention your big homie and he mentioned his and he mentioned his, and eventually you'll get to the founders of the organization. That's how I understand what little I know about their organizational structure. That is how I understand it is structured. Now, the Manosphere don't really have any organizational structure. However, if you were to follow that particular organizational structure, which loosely people do, they say, I came into the Manosphere through ... or through such and such. That case doesn't really apply to me. For example, when I came in, I didn't come in through O'Shea. And, it would have been nice, if, he hooked me up the same way he hooked up Lead Attorney or somebody like that. Of course, I'd have different results, but still, it would be nice, but that didn't happen. So I didn't really come up through O'Shea. Angry Man and I disagreed on a small matter made large because it's very important to me, and that is a matter of standards. So, we're just not aligned in that regard, and I didn't really come up under him either. Not that I had anything particularly against him, just didn't. Now, Obsidian is an interesting story because Obsidian, I didn't come up through Obsidian either, and that's because the person who suggested that I create a channel with him. I'm not going to say his name because we're not cool now, but the person who suggested that I create a channel was at odds with Obsidian at the time that I came on the scene. So that's another, that's another avenue. So none of the founding fathers would be, my Jedi Knight or something like that. None of them you can consider, you can put in that category. So I'm not really I don't really have a big homie in this space. Now, just like with the gangs that I described, they have people who kind of just hangs around them, but not really affiliated with them. But from outsiders, it would look like, oh, he's claiming that set or something like that. And so, yeah, I think I kind of got roped into the Manosphere through that way. And since people started calling me that, I may have called myself that from time to time. Who knows? But so that's a real thing. And that's something that happened. And that's kind of where I think I'm at as far as where I stand in the Manosphere. Don't really know if I'm in it. I will say that it is flawed on a foundational level. And this goes with all the founding fathers. No matter what, if you have a Manosphere, yet you are hyper competitive and you're competing for female attention and validation, then you already lost. You already have lost. Because it means that you are a sellout. But worse than just being a sellout, your currency isn't money. Your currency is that which you have an abundance of, or excuse me, that which others have an abundance of. You already have sold out for something that is cheap to the people that you're selling to, but extremely valuable to you. Give an example, right? As I like to always do, hit that like button. Africans, some time ago, West Africans, they use seashell as currency. Now, some people say that that's stupid. I think that the people who say that don't really understand how currency works. But and if you think that's stupid, there's a North American tribe that uses paper. So yeah, they use seashell as currency. Now, what that inadvertently did was that made the coastal tribes, the people who actually live near the sea, extremely wealthy. Because the thing that you view as currency, the thing that you value most, is something that just washes up on the shores to them. So they have a bunch of what you want. They are rich in what you want. And they could pretty much trade it for anything, like slaves. Like slaves. So they give you seashells, you give them slaves. They get foreign goods from Europeans as a result of that. Easily sold out because the thing that you chose to be your currency comes at an abundance to one group and a small cost to another group. Now, what does this have to do with what Obsidian was talking about last night? All right. So the question is, what is Obsidian's currency? I repeat, the question is, what is Obsidian's currency? And Obsidian's currency is female validation. You want to know how I know? Well, let's take a listen. Let's ask the man himself. Obsidian, what do you consider to be your currency?
But they still want to be around them.
Okay. What's your currency? Obsidian, you there?
That's just how that goes.
Okay.
You want to know if you're a successful guy? Take a look around, see if any women are circling around you.
Oh, that's your currency. You measure success on the number of women that circles around you. Because, let's take an Olympian, for example, right? He would measure success by the type of medal that is around his neck after the Olympics. A businessman would measure his success in dollars. A family man measures his success in the strength and value of his family, or the strength of his family, the health, the security, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, if the family is thriving. Um, you measure yourself on, what was that again, Obsidian? Here, let me see.
That's just how that goes. You want to know if you're a successful guy? Take a look around, see if any women are circling around you.
You want to know if you're successful. So a guy without women circling around him isn't successful. Very, very strange way to measure success. That is an extremely strange way to measure success. And I have friends who are ladies' men, many of whom are successful. I would say that they measure their success in their success, not in the women that circles around them. But let's rock with this for a second. Let's rock with this for a second. By this statement alone, this statement right here. Oh, press the wrong button. Hold on. By that statement alone, he has defeated himself, as he does often when he speaks. By this statement alone, he has defeated himself in the whole Pookie Ray Ray select fuckboy argument. By this logic, if women surround themselves to anybody, whether it's Pookie, Ray Ray, whether it's a select F boy, he is successful. You just killed your own argument that you've been arguing for years.
That's just how that goes. You want to know if you're a successful guy? Take a look around, see if any women are circling around you.
And there you go. Women determines a man's value. Now, keep in mind that when I was coming to this space, this was the same argument that the person who was against Obsidian was making. And now he's making that argument. And now what's changed? Oh, yeah, good point. I don't know if he has them surrounding him, but he has a bunch of baby mamas. So apparently he's successful. I mean, this logic could apply to anybody. All the people that he has criticized in his past career on YouTube. See, this is an unfortunate byproduct, and this is something that's wrong with the Manosphere on a foundational level. The currency, the accepted currency, is female validation. Now that became apparent once the females started coming in this space, and how competitive brothers started getting over their validation and stuff like that. It's like, listen, you are who you are, whether they validate your pseudonym or not. You don't get me wrong, female attention, I guess it has some value, but really you are who and what you are, whether the women validate you or not. And unless you're able to comfortably say that about yourself, then you're already extremely compromised. Hold on. All right. Thanks. No guarantees. He says, We'll have to admit, O's timing is impeccable with the articles that Alan Roger Curry highlighted in the news about incels. Oh, I get it. Well, I actually didn't see that. Shout out to ARC. I did not see that. But I guess uh, here's okay. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's one of the reasons why um, the whole incel argument is. First of all, I don't believe in making fun of brothers on the basis of sex or sexual attention from women because everyone has a different level in that regard. For one, and for two, it puts you in the mindset that I wanted to avoid. The one that I'm talking about here. That it mean when you're calling others incels, it means that you are measuring a man's success by a woman's attention, meaning that she is the one who determines your success. And once you are of the mind to where she is determining your sex, of course you're going to be like, you should run the manosphere because you determine which men are successful. And as long as you determine me as successful, I will champion you running the manosphere that I founded. Or the black manosphere that I founded, rather. So that's why, the whole incel thing. And besides, I mean, what is like, how long do you have to go without sex to consider yourself an incel? Like, is it 1 month, 2 months, 3 months? Like, how long do you have to go before somebody just comes along and like, oh, yep, you turned an incel today. So it's really like, yeah. And then if in that 6 months you had the opportunity with Big Bertha with a slight mustache or something, but you turned it down, does that make you a non-incel because you had the opportunity and you didn't take it? It it's really just so. I mean, are men in jail incels? Like, it's really just so ridiculous. It's better to not get into it. But what it is what the word is. It's a word created by women to get men to compete on the basis of their validation. And that's what Obsidian is doing. And he's doing it on which means that, and because the manosphere was built partially by him, that flaw that he has within himself is a flaw that is a crack in the foundation of the manosphere, and now the entire building is coming down as a result to this crack. You see, people are saying that he's changing up and he's flip-flopping, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And flip-flopping implies something instant. You flip and then you flop like a pancake. You just turn it over and that's it. But no, this is something gradual because a person who have this in their core values, a person that has this in their core belief system, is destined to change as the attention that they get from females change. What we're seeing is an example of somebody who is going from poor to rich as long as the currency is female attention. And I really shouldn't even say rich, because if currency was female attention, then Fresh and Fit would probably be considered rich, or Kevin Samuels would probably be considered rich in that regard. So really, we are looking at somebody that's going from broke to poor. You're looking at somebody that's going from very okay. You're looking at somebody who went from getting shot down by 12 young ladies in high school. It can happen to many guys. I'm not shaming them for that, but he obviously didn't get the hold on right quick.
That's just how that goes. You want to know if you're a successful guy? Take a look around, see if any women are circling around you.
Okay, so if he had this philosophy in high school, and for those of you who don't know, and I'll just give a summation of the story. Actually, I'll put it out there. Oh man, you come up and tell the story if you like, but I'll give a summation. So basically, in high school, he, like many young men of his time, wanted to go to the prom, and he asked 12 young ladies to go to the prom. Each of whom said no, thank you. They, for whatever reason, they already had their dates. They already had their prospective dates. They had boyfriends. Who knows? But for whatever reason, they said no. And then, so he can have somebody to go to the prom with, his mothers and sisters brought home 4 women who were willing to go to prom with him. However, he wasn't physically attracted to, so he turned them down. And that's the prom story. Now, at that time, he would not meet his own definition of successful. He wouldn't. He, once again, if your definition of success is,
that's just how that goes. You want to know if you're a successful guy? Take a look around, see if any women are circling around you.
So at that stage in life, they weren't really circling around you. So you started off adulthood, and trust me, millions of brothers are the same boat. So don't shame him for that, and don't be embarrassed with him for that. But by your own currency measurement, you were not successful in that regard. And then you fast forward, what is it, like 35 years or something like that? And you now have a couple of women on YouTube who wants to share in your algorithm, whatever you want to call it, your YouTube fame, clout, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They want to do business with you. Yeah, I guess that's the best way to describe it. Now you have women who wish to do business with you. And you feel more successful. The company of the people on your new channel, your new secondary channel, that you co-host for women, makes you feel successful. I am a success now, and the proof is the women who surrounds me to do business. And now that I am this successful person, and this is where the building starts to collapse. I mentioned the cracks in the foundation. This is where the building is starting to collapse. Now that I have had this success, and that's a very sad way to measure success. But now that I have this quote unquote success, I'm going to use it to lord over those who do not have as much of it. Meaning that I am a winner and everyone else isn't. Okay, so here, let me read some of the comments here. Nah, game changer. A white guy explained he came up with it. What are you referring to? The Manosphere? Many dating coaches are guilty of doing this. Yeah. Well, he is a dating coach. But I mean, according to him, if the currency is women attention and validation, then yeah, so it's really the same philosophy. Bernard now game changer going in on Obsidian messy. How messy is it? There's nothing really more messy than saying, should women run the manosphere? Why not? That's a very messy thing. Really, this is me trying to clean up the mess. This is me giving or attempting to give understanding and clarity to the mess. What's going on, Sigma?
Hey, what's up, GC?
Nothing much, nothing much. What's on your mind, brother?
Just joining in on the topic. I came in on the end where you were saying that. So Obsidian's argument was that being surrounded by women is what defines success now.
Here, I'll replay the clip for you. Hold on.
That's just how that goes. You want to know if you're a successful guy? Take a look around, see if any women are circling around you.
What do you think of that statement?
I think that's nonsense. And I could tell you, I was just listening to you and I was thinking to myself, I'm gonna give you a link and we can add that to the conversation so we can bring this whole thing together. Because you were right when you said that he kills his own argument against Pookie. Because I come from a family of Pookies. Mm-hmm. In my family, I was what would be considered the white sheep for black people, right? Okay. I came from a family of working class people who dibbled and dabbled in the street life, or they were fully engaged. When I came to certain relatives and told them that I wanted to go off to college, they thought I was wasting my time. They thought that's something that white dudes did or guys that come from the suburbs, because they feel like, hey, you can get much more money out here hustling, or at least go work at like Ford Motor, like some of the more straight-laced members of my family. So when you talk about the woman factor, when I was in college, bro, I was broke. I was on a full scholarship at a Big Ten university, but I was having sex probably multiple times some days, but definitely there was never more than like 3 or 4 days that I went without getting laid. Mm-hmm. So I guess by what I'd always heard before, this was something only Pookie did. I was broke. I was on work study scholarship, but one of the things was that the reason I was getting laid so often is because what? Proximity to women. Being at a university campus with 60,000 students and like probably 60% were females, you're living right there with the women at their most valuable sexual market value in their early 20s, right?
Right.
So proximity played a role, but also my time investment. I was constantly flirting and engaging with women at all, because that's all I was thinking about. You know how it is, man. When you're like 19, 20, 21, bruh, all you're thinking about is getting laid. True. So I invested a lot of time in it. I had proximity. So just unlimited opportunities with women. Now, when you get into the workforce, that proximity changes because you spend so much time working. Like when I got into the workforce, there were new gates put up that didn't exist before. You know, in college, it was nothing to go, because the way that our dorms were set up, for example, right, when I was in the dorms, there was one area of the dorm that was for the men, then there was for the women. So you just walk down the hall, 100 women living right in the same building as you, 18, 19, 20, 21, easy access. Now, when you get in corporate America, there's a whole different ball game when you're trying to holler at women at work. So you start to put your job and your career before actually getting access to women. So they become more of a happy hour, after work, in between work, then your work starts to dominate your life. Mm-hmm. So for me, I felt like since I've been in the workforce, I've never, unless I was on vacation or at some big festival, seen as many women in one place as when I was in my early 20s in undergrad. So this idea that it's based on women, that sounds like he's speaking on a delayed sowing your oats period, a delayed player stage or something. Because believe me, if it's just about the women, we can start with this article right here. So I'll just leave it there.
Well, before we get into the article, and I got you, Judge. Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because you see, there are certain workplaces that have a higher concentration of women than others. One that has an extraordinarily high concentration, which I was a part of, was the call center environment. And now, trust me, nothing is like college, because they're all in the same age bracket and reasonable intelligence level. So nothing is going to get you better opportunity than in college. That's why the whole concept of educated lame is almost an oxymoron, because it's like, really?
Yeah, I've always, battled against that term. I prefer to use classic man or straight laced brothers or professional, because I'm sitting there like, bruh, at dude, the dudes that I knew that was getting laid the most were guys at uni again.
Exactly. Either and particularly even the regular guys did, but more specifically the fraternity / athletes did.
Well, there was a hierarchy at my university. Yeah. The hierarchy was basically the jocks. Then it was like the rich frat guys, then just the general frat guys. And then that's when the looks part for the general student population, those that were not frat associated, that were not jocks, just guys that look good or guys that had mad charm. I had a crew
everywhere. Yeah.
I had a crew of guys. And at the time we used to trade like books on just the game. And one of the books that someone gave me was a Tariq Nasheed book back then called the Mac Within or something like that. And I remember just going crazy because everything he was saying in there was matching up to my life. So he just helped me polish up my my charm skills a little bit. And I mean, it was a point where when I graduated, I had this crew of about 5 guys that we just terrorized the campus. I had a younger brother come up to me like the week I was graduating. He was congratulating me, whatever, like, man, congrats that you graduating. And I was picking up one of my babes in the student union. And he was like, I am so glad that you're leaving this campus, bro. He was like, you and the dudes that you were with, y'all be fucking everybody's girlfriend.
Right. It was a status thing, because when you're in an environment where nobody has money, the status thing goes into play. But my point is that I'll make a sub point, and this is why I never get into Pookie Ray Ray versus educated lame over women argument, because it's stupid, because in the hierarchy that you mentioned, Pookie Ray Ray wasn't there. So I don't really know or care. I really didn't care, what the athletes and fraternity members were doing either. I mean, you don't really lash out on a group based on how much pussy they get. That's just not something.
Well, game changer. Right, yeah, go ahead.
Right quick. So I wanted to say that to say some workplaces some scenarios have it better than others. And the reason why I bring that up is because Obsidian, this goes back to him, he's a skilled tradesman.
No, he never worked with his hand. He never did no manual labor. Let him tell it.
Well, okay.
Remember that?
He has told it before.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah, I know. He's a mechanical engineer, according to yesterday, what he said. But no. He worked in an environment that seemed to be primarily men. In addition to not going to college, he never seemed to have been in a high concentration of women environment. Yes. Now, yes. His entire life. So you're right. It is like a delayed player phase or a delayed sow your wild oats thing, because now even in the Manosphere, it's a very small concentration of women, but still it's higher than what he's used to.
Yeah.
And the reaction today or last night really echoes that.
Yeah, and I don't take that stuff. That's why I've always told brothers to be thinking men themselves. And I never supported the cult personality. And you and I have talked about this in the past. I've always been a person that said, think for yourself. Don't listen to Game Changer. Don't listen to me. Take the information, come to your own conclusion, filter it through your own experience, and then also go look at other opinions. But in college, when it came to the frat, jock, or if you were a non-jock, we didn't brag too much about it, because guess what we always found out? When you got us all together, like we used to have, like, did y'all have noon b-ball at your university when you were in undergrad?
No. What we did have, and this is because it wasn't a Black university, and what we did have was soccer, because of so many international students, and that's something that even a nerd like myself could participate in.
Okay, see, we used to have noon ball, and what would happen, like a lot of the D1 football players that used to be hoopers in high school, they would come hoop with the general, because a lot of guys, we can't make it at the D1 level in basketball, because how competitive basketball is, but everyone would just come from all different areas of the campus at noon ball to hoop, because they couldn't hoop for the team, but they had good skills. And we would swap stories all the time. You know what I found out very quickly? We didn't
everybody fucked them.
Yeah, there you go. Dre already beat me to it. We found out that we were all fucking 80% of the women on the campus that were at the noon ball, the jocks, the fraternity guys, and the charming or good-looking general population guys. We found out that no matter if you were a jock or a fraternity or not, you were fucking the same women.
Same bros.
Yes.
Like this one thing I want to say, and unfortunately, I'm not going to, man, no, fuck it. You know, after what he did, I am going to wish the bad luck on you. This is the problem when a motherfucker ain't never had any attention from women. Unfortunately, bro, the only attention that he's getting now is because they might see a way to capitalize or get a little piece of money. That's all. You've never been the type of man that attracts women physically. So the only way that they are going to pay you any attention now is because they might be able to get something. Nah, man, no change.
Well, I'm not going to speak for or against his physical appearance.
No, but wait. Okay. But
here's what I'm just separating myself from your statement on his physical.
Yeah. Okay, but this is the problem. You're gonna sit up.
He's never been in an occupation or a life event that had a high concentration of women. I will say that part. You know,
well, but the problem is a game changer is this. The problem is you've never had female attention on any type of scale. Any at all. Unfortunately, is you don't realize, dude, you're a fucking mark, if anything. You keep slipping up, you be the next person that catch a case might be your dumbass. Or you put a kid in the broad and she play you like that. I mean, you see it coming already because you never think about it. This is a person where, 4 homely sisters, nobody wanted to take it. No. I mean, you had to go round up some people and people had to damn near beg to get you to go here. But now you want to sit up here and make it seem like you've been some elite person and now you ain't never worked with your hands. No offense, dude. You ain't no engineer because you don't got no degree. No offense, dude. I have more reputables than saying that I'm more of an engineer than that man is.
Well, Dre, one of the things you find out, if you've ever been around dudes that have had a lot of sex with a lot of women, you'll find out that they don't prioritize women as much as those on the outside think they do.
And this is the thing, just like you said right there. I was sitting up here and I was sitting up here talking like this. You might have said, after you start realize you didn't have enough sex, then to go to show you when you have that moment where you sit back and say, well, goddamn.
Man, sometimes
I was a hoe. Listen, when you have the moment where you say, goddamn, I was a hoe. Because you didn't fuck that many women. That's how you know. Like Kevin even said one time, when we realized we talked about, this, but then when you sit back and think about it, damn, nigga, everybody in this group done fucked this person, and we done fucked about 10 girls that we all know.
Yeah,
right. I mean, you ain't getting no.
Man, that happened to me with my own brother, bro. That's what. Right. See, that's why when guys be out here talking about like red pill and blue pill, I don't like using them terms because to me, if you just grew up in a top 50 urban city and you engaged in the life, you saw so much at a young age that it's weird to see dudes at 25, 35, 50 start to actually figure it out. When I've actually had situations where I found out I was fucking the same girl as my own brother. And that was like, damn, like it happened to me, bro. When me and my brother found out we was fucking the same broad. So these women, they getting around with the dudes they want, and they've been doing it. A lot of the women I've known growing up, they started out way before the dudes did. They was like 13, 14. They were barely active in the game. They were talking to older dudes. A lot of dudes, we didn't really start to come into our own until like junior, senior high school.
Yeah, I got to step off for a minute, but just give an example. I was sitting here, this broad I've been messing with for about a year and that. She sit up here, I'm sitting here, she talking one day, she's showing pictures. Come to find out, I done fucked both her sisters.
I'm like, not surprised at all.
So to sit up here and say, that's when he's like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? That's but this man is the first time you never had any attention from women, and now it's gone to your heads because now you're just saying whatever sounds right at the moment, which shows that you ain't shit, shows that you don't have no confidence to stand on and say, hey man, that's what I used to be, or I used to be this person. Stand on, yeah, man, I'm used to be this person, but you can't do it.
That's why I think it's good that young men
he's being exposed
when they're
crazy.
Young. That's why it's good
all right, man. I gotta
experience
go.
When you're young.
Okay, peace. Thanks.
So that you don't, end up in your 40s, 50s, or 60s, and you're just now coming into your own. Because if you've already been getting women in 8th grade, because that's when I felt like I really started to have like those strong feelings that I couldn't resist, was in about the 8th grade when it came to females. And then it just kind of picked up until like now you a senior in high school. Now you banging all the chicks in the high school. But when you would go off to college, that's an experience that's if a man reaches 30 and he doesn't get to go to college, it's unfortunate for a lot of brothers to miss out on that, man. Because I still haven't been to found anything that matches the overall experience of undergrad at that age and being so broke, but being so naive and just being open to opportunity and fun. It's something that's unfortunate if you don't get to live that experience.
Well, I mean, you had scholar. I wouldn't recommend people go to college for fun. I agree with what you're saying. It is an experience, and there are a lot of positives from the experience. I wouldn't recommend that they do it for fun alone, because you are preparing for your life. However, if your life's path requires college, like mine did, have fun while you're there.
Well, this just comes. I think it comes with the position though. Like when you attend a large university, that's gonna be there. The opportunity to, for example, in my school, we had programs where you could go and spend a whole year at another university. You could go study abroad for a whole year, and all your credits counted to our school. So my point is that I've still never seen an environment where you get as many opportunities, but with the option to also make mistakes, but not destroy your life as you do when you're at a university, because you're allowed to go study abroad. You're allowed to do campus exchange. You're allowed to live on and off campus. So you get an experience meeting women from all walks of life. That just comes with it. But obviously, if that becomes your priority, you won't be at university that long.
Yeah, true. But I'm going to get into this article, but I want to focus on the prioritizing of it, because I think that that's important. Like, you were able to obviously maintain your grades and, maintain your scholarship and things like that. So that was something that you did have the good fortune of learning at a young age. But more or less, you interacted with brothers. Like, no matter what, there was going to be the guy in your crew who was, exceptionally charismatic and good looking, and got more. And there's always going to be a top guy and a bottom guy in every group of guys. In your circle of 5, did the top guy belittle the bottom guy?
No, it was all like a team effort. It was like a basketball team. In my online crew, we all operated off each other. We understood that a top guy is also subjective, because sometimes, you go out with your homeboys to the club. We used to have contests to see who can get the most numbers, who can get the woman home within the quickest amount of time. So one night you might go in there, you might kill it. All the babes is feeling it, like GC is on this thing tonight. You might come out with 5, 7 numbers. Maybe one of those girls you knocked within 3 days, you already hit. But then you go to the next club the next weekend, the vibe's different. Those women wasn't feeling you up in there. Now it's my turn. I came up. I had a great week. And I just always seen in my life that it depends on the type of women. Now, yes, there are some dudes that may be so, at the top of the sexual market value, they can go anywhere and win, but those are rare. Those guys are extremely rare. Most guys are going to fall somewhere in the middle, where they have some women that feel them, some that don't. Now, but then there's this group that exists in the sexual marketplace that are in the bottom 20% of men. And I call these guys the genetic dead ends. These are the men that if you take transactional sex off the table, they're pretty much finished, because there's so few women that would see that guy and say, hey, I want to have his kid. I've had women try to have my child as a broke dude, where I was the one telling them, no, hell no, you're not bringing no kid into this world that I'm going to have a financial obligation to. But she didn't care, because she just looked at it like, well, she can take care of her family, whatever. No, I didn't look at it like that. But it's dudes that have reached the age of 40 that have never experienced one woman ever wanting to replicate them, just strictly off her feelings towards him as far as his charisma, his charm, and his sexual attractiveness. You'd be surprised how many dudes can reach 40 and have never met that woman. A woman like that.
Okay, yeah, here's the thing. There are genetic gifts and curses that exist in the world, and that's just the unfairness of nature. So I don't really have shame for somebody who finds themselves that way. If a woman doesn't see your gene, as something worth, continuing, I think that alone gives women too much power, but they have it as far as, sexual selection. So I do understand that, but there really shouldn't be any shade.
No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't be at all.
For those particular guys. Now, there are circumstances where a guy like that who finds himself in the bottom 20, whether it's due to life circumstances or genetic misfortunes, finds himself outside of the bottom 20. He elevates. Should he, at that point in life, what would it say about his character if at that point in his life he begins to shit on the people who are still in the bottom 20?
I mean, that's, to me, is like a situation where, let's say, for example, someone is poor and then they finally get themselves a good job and they become the exact person that probably when they were on the bottom, they despised. So then
exactly
that person shouldn't be surprised when they become the object of being despised. But also, they're going to find out that a lot of that stuff doesn't last. You know what I'm saying? The attention doesn't also always last because, again, you're still that bottom guy with a little bit of money, but as soon as that dude that really has it walks in the room, the women are going to go to him. Now, these women might act like you are on your business now, whatever, but believe me, they're just waiting for that dude that was always in the room getting them to walk back in that room. As soon as he walks in fact, if you elevate women too much that didn't used to give you a high value in the sexual marketplace, they might take the gains that you give them and actually give them to the guy that they actually really do admire and desire. So you got to be careful with that too, of when you put a woman's validation too high, because sometimes they will use that validation currency to actually take it to the men that they actually want to be with.
And that's my point. That's what I'm saying. That's what happens when your currency is something that's inexpensive to one group but expensive to another. And you came here late, but I used the African tribes who used to use seashells as an example. It puts you at an extraordinarily disadvantage if you are an inland tribe, because the coastal tribes, of course, are seashell rich, and you, but just by geographics, are seashell poor, which means that you're really at their mercy. Women will be validation rich; they have infinite amount of validation, and men, of course, being validation poor, will be susceptible to it, and you automatically put yourself at the mercy of the women, and which is why you're saying, they should be in charge. I'm going to sell access to your currency. I'm going to sell the Manosphere for access to your currency, and that is your validation. If you validate me more, then you can have the Manosphere, or at least my stake in it. That's the vibe I was getting from Obsidian. Let me get into this. Okay, it says 3 men in Tennessee have notched up a staggering 78 children by 46 women between them, and are doing their best to squirm out of paying for a single one. All right. Now, it's funny because, and it's actually quite ironic, that Obsidian talks about this story. But when he talks about, who is, I don't want to say select, because then it would bring his contradiction full circle. But when he talks about who women select, or who's successful by the number of women that they have surrounded by them, well, apparently these guys have, between the three of them, they have 46.
Oh, and that was the old number. Actually, they did an updated article, and now it's above 100. Because after this article, there were more women that got pregnant by those same 3 dudes. So it's actually above 100 now at this point.
Right. But if we go off of that definition, of Obsidian's definition, these guys are successful.
Yeah, those are the most successful guys. So this whole conversation, because again, I came in this space around the same time you did, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I came in at with this conversation, because that was back when there was the beef between O'Shea, Angry Man, and Obsidian. And that was the whole conversation when I came in. So I was dropped into this through the algorithm, and it was this back and forth about Pookie and Ray Ray. And that's why I've never gotten back into this conversation. I'm not going to get back into it, because that was when I came in 2018. So now it's like, so we're saying now that Pookie was right the whole time. So if Pookie was right the whole time, then there is no purpose of you having a conversation anymore, because that was the argument, was that Pookie was winning because he was the superior male within that Black American community, right? That was the argument. So if the argument now is that the man that has the most women, then I must be a loser because I got cousins who are not educated, that are strictly in the street, multiple baby moms, multiple women. But with me, I've always been more about quality. Even when I was getting a lot of quantity, I always was more about the quality of the woman. So a dude that just says, hey, I'm gonna fuck 10,000 fat women, and he has 10,000 fat women chasing him, he's the most successful male according to his new standard. I can't rock with that.
Well, I mean, fat women are not women, so like they don't count in a man's overall sexual accomplishment. But
the Lizzo fans are shaking right now. They throwing tomatoes at the screen right now, hearing that, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. You mess up your laptop if you want to. Fat women are not women. So, if you had sex with 1,001 women, and only one of them wasn't fat, then you had sex with one woman. And if you had sex with 1,000 fat women, and that's it, you're a virgin. Like, fat women are not women.
Yeah. Right. So I don't know. This whole idea is silliness, but it's probably just like one of those things where just spark a conversation, I guess. But I definitely would not trade places with my 20-year-old version of myself now, because now I've reached that point where I'm very close to cracking, $100,000 and being able to pretty much, not even work in an office place ever again. I wouldn't trade the knowledge and the money and the security for the time in my life where I was just banging something every single day, multiple times sometimes. I mean, it was insane. Just a month. When I look back on it, sometimes I shake my own head like, wow, just unbelievable how much sex was on my mind at that time. And I was acting on it every chance I got. But now it's like, once you've done something, what's the term I'm thinking of? When you do something for so long, it loses value.
It's redundant or repetitive, maybe?
I just lost the word for some reason.
Oh, diminished return.
Yeah, diminished returns. Yeah, I lost it for a second. But yeah, like you reach a point of diminishing returns as a man once you've had sex with a certain amount of women.
Well, again, this isn't about sex. It's about validation. And in my opinion, you were right to stay out of the Pookie Ray Ray. I mean, the reason why I stay out of it is because I didn't know that they were winning in that regard. And I just assumed that it was a regional thing, that in some regions, they were winning. I didn't pay attention to what they were doing because my, teens and early 20s was much like yours. And you just really don't know and really don't care, like they're on their own side of campus or, on their own side of the world and doing whatever they do. So there wasn't an awareness of their sex lives to even be jealous of. Now, I do want to say this, and then we'll go to Brother Morpheus about the brothers who participate in the Pookie Ray Ray educated lame conversation as it relates to female validation and female sex. I think that both sides may be suffering from the grass is greener syndrome. Meaning that if your grass is brown, you just assume that everybody else has greener grass than you. I think that might be what's going on. Like if you find yourself in a situation where you're not getting the attention that you feel you should be, and you think that the other side is getting more attention than you, but they probably are suffering from the same problem that you are. They just, it just seems like they have to be doing it, they have to be given to someone. That's what I kind of.
Well, that whole nouveau riche, when the old rich people call people like new rich, and they have this distinction that they make, like people that have come from like generations of money versus those that just come from. That's why they make that, because the old rich will say about newly rich, oh, they're newly rich, because they act out certain behaviors that are common among someone that's just come into money. And it's so repetitive that they can just point to. It's the same thing with dudes that if they haven't had a lot of access to women, and I mean, more the kind that the average man might want, then when they first get that access, they're going to act like that, like the new rich. But then over time, again, the law of diminishing return kicks in. But for a lot of guys, this may be delayed because in America, the financial part can play a big role if you don't have the right looks and charisma, that financial thing, and that usually comes later in life. So it's like a delayed thing for these guys.
All right,
Yeah.
Kenneth Williams, I appreciate the super sticker. Thanks a lot. Cortez Smith says something interesting. After college, it gets harder for pretty much all men. Absolutely. And like Sigma says, it's a matter of proximity. You as a man really didn't change from 22 to 23. Really, it's just a matter of proximity. Your proximity has changed. You're not in an environment where society has grouped all the women from 18 to 22 in one spot and then put you in the middle of that spot. So yeah, that's just something that's going to happen, you know. And yeah, it's nothing. It's just one of those things that happen. You know, it's a fortunate or unfortunate series of events. But we're gonna go to Morpheus.
Can I ask you a question, Game Changer?
Who's that?
Judge Dre.
Yeah, and then we go to Morpheus.
Okay, I said, but see, like we sit up here and we talk. Okay, fine. You know, like we made the stories here. We banged a lot of broads, this, that, and the other. But that was at a young, dumb age. It's like to make that same mistake with the wisdom and stuff you have now. That shows, you know, you have to really look deeper into that, and shows that a person is really more unstable than everything else. Because if you've been able to learn from your experience and learn from other men or experiences around you, and now that you've just slowly like come out like that, and even at the possibility of sex, it just really got you just going anywhere. Imagine if you actually got laid.
Well, let's. I don't want to put that on old man, because you know how they say, you know, sloppy blowjob away from, you know, turning blue pill or something like that. I'm not gonna put that on old man, because it's not about sex. He didn't really mention sex. It's more about
It's the attentions and validation. Yeah. He never been validated.
He's never had female attention.
Right, and that's something that, you know, you get even after college. And well, that's something that's more freely given, especially if, like Sigma say, you work around women. You know, there are more women in corporate America than they are in the skilled trades, or you know, working with your hands. So you know, we're talking about a deficit of that more so than sex. I think that's what's the problem. So I don't want to make it seem like he's sexually thirsty or something like that. And
he's,
you know,
he's just attention thirsty for women.
Yeah, it's really a matter of female attention. But you got it, Morpheus.
Okay, what I was going to come and say, because I've been wanting to say this, but people feel like, for the people that feel like jealous of Pookie or whatever, you gotta understand that Pookie's living a female lifestyle. What I mean by that is they're getting by their looks and charisma. Think about all the Pookies, all the guys that had all these baby mothers, and now they're 50 or 60 years old. They're broke as hell. They're on the corner talking about their highlight. Can you hear me? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like, if what I see on that, and that's why sometimes I heard you say it earlier, some Pookies will look at a quote unquote educated lame and be envious, because they were getting women all their younger lives. It's kind of like the Al Bundy thing. Al Bundy was the man in high school, and then when he got older, he was nobody. And that's what happens to Pookies. Now the educated dudes, that's, you know, their gold comes at the end of the rainbow. But sometimes they got this animosity that they didn't get the gold in the beginning. You know what I'm saying?
I disagree.
Well, here, well, if I could respond right quick, MLT, and then you're next.
All right.
I would agree with what you said, but it's not just Pookie that relies on his looks to get sex.
I'm sorry?
So it's not just Pookie that relies on his looks to get sex.
Well, I'm saying that's their main thing to get sex is their looks.
Well, what I'm saying, like,
or the
like
charisma.
Like what Sigma described, you know, if you weren't in a fraternity or an athlete,
right,
then you tend to rely on your looks and charisma. So you're really pretty much in the same boat as Pookie.
But if you're in a fraternity, most likely going to graduate, you're going to get some money. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, both are. Both are. But
a lot of those Pookies with a lot of baby mothers, when they get about 50, 60, they're broke. And the kids don't have nothing to do with them.
I get what you're saying, brother. We're on the same side in some regards. What I'm saying about the looks, most men rely on their looks. I think that there is an assumption that Pookie is doing better even at a younger age than non-Pookies. I think that that's something that non-Pookies just assume is going on, because in the movies, Pookie cleans up. In the movies, Pookie is always cleaning up. And Baby Boy, hey, he was cleaning up. And New Jack City, I guess you could say he cleaned up. But in real life, do you really see that? Like, how often do you see?
No, you don't.
Like, how often do you see like a dude with his pants underneath his ass?
I see it all the time.
With a
But
dime.
then again, I'm in Florida.
That's a regional thing. That's a regional thing. And Florida is the weirdest place in the world.
But I see it in New York too. I'm originally from New York.
Okay, well, I don't really see that. Like every time I see,
Trust me, you have a DMX personality in New York, you're cleaning up.
Okay, so what I do see, DMX.
But are you talking about dudes? Because again, there's some dudes that maybe look like that, but
yeah, if you look,
are you talking about dudes like that got bank, or are you talking about just like a dude that's broke and that's on some hood shit?
Oh yeah, they're broke. I knew a dude when I was younger. He was literally sleeping on the floor, and he had a bad chick, and she was sleeping on the floor with him.
No, well, okay.
I just kept looking at it and staring at it. I just couldn't believe
how old was the dude?
Okay.
Well, Regents,
and he was ugly too. It's just he could dance and he had a little pookishness. That was his whole thing.
Okay.
All right, man. So this is why this thing is false. It's always false. You have to provide examples, because the loser class men who have come to YouTube to brag about this shit is merely just bragging about it. There's no proof. There's a bunch of women here. No women are choosing up on these dudes. So the whole thing is false. And I've always thought it was false.
It happened. No proof. I'm not saying it happened to me. No, I didn't do that.
No, I am saying there are a lot of women here. And if these so-called Pookie dudes was fucking laying it down like that, we would see a lot of these dudes getting chose up on. Since we don't see that, the whole thing is false until you provide proof.
No, they get chosen. My point was they don't.
No. They get chosen up on by women. Listen, they get chosen up on by women who fucking use them for kids. So what I'm saying, using this as a standard at all isn't some shit that men should be actually having a conversation about. This is some shit that women should have conversation about, because that's how women get control over the environment.
I'm glad you made that point, because I did come to that conclusion that they were being used for kids. You're right. That's the main reason why they're getting used. You're right about that.
And to have control over the household and the environment by using said person to do that. Because trust me, I have seen 1 out of 10 be with whoever to keep that freedom going. They really didn't even give a damn about anything else that was going on. So to me, it was always false, because I've seen it from a law enforcement aspect. I've seen it from a bounty hunter aspect. These dudes ain't really laying it down like you think they are.
And he's right about the control piece, because again, when I was in that phase of my life, when I was first getting started off in my career and coming out of college, I had a phase where I was doing the homosexual thing, where I would take advantage of the women I were with to to get money out of them, to live rent free while I saved my money until I could get out on my own. And you know what? It sounds good, but when you're in that situation, those women will always try to control you. They want to look through your phone. Where were you at? Hey, I was with the friends who went bowling. Oh, you was with that chick. So believe me, there's definitely a trade-off, and that you're going to pay in terms of your privacy and your control when you give women that position of you. So I have to agree with them on that one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Listen, I'm not trying to say they're living their best life. That's not what I was coming on here to say. I was just saying.
No. Okay, so what you see on the screen, what you see is what they get. Like, I know all regions are different, but like the 46 women, you like, yay, 46, but it's 46 of this. Yeah. And this.
Yeah.
And this.
Yeah, some regions are different. Like Florida is. I always tell people Florida is an ugly man's heaven, because if you're ugly, you can get a pretty chick here for being ugly. I'm serious. I know dudes have gold teeth. They look like characters, and they're pulling bad chicks. I only see that here in Florida, to be honest.
No, yeah, I get it.
Look at Kodak Black. Kodak Black, perfect example. Believe it or not, he probably was pulling chicks before he was famous. Believe it or not.
Yeah, that's, if I'm ever ugly, I move to Florida. Okay. So I get that aspect of it. I do. I'm just saying that I don't really see that much of a difference in Pookie's love life versus the educated lame's love life, to where they should really be fighting on that basis. That's essentially what I was getting at.
And again, it goes back and forth too, because again, these guys that are putting that female validation that high, the same women will bang all of you. That's what I don't understand about this whole thing.
Yeah.
I know women. When I used to work for the courts, I can tell you an absolute fact. I was dating a chick that was a lawyer, and I knew female lawyers who would date other lawyers, who would date older dudes, but also would fuck their clients too, who are felons.
Well, yes. I mean, we shouldn't be competing with each other over who that lawyer fucks. What in the hell is Brenda talking about? I'm agreeing with that, saying Pookie leads with looks, charisma, that they have mouthpiece, but have no stability or foundation. Listen, we all lead with that. We all lead with that. Don't give me that.
It isn't exclusive to them. It isn't exclusive to them.
Yeah. Did your current boyfriend walk up and say stability foundations? Did he walk up to you on some stability foundation tip? You know, I mean, come on now. We all.
No, that was the guy that she turned down that did that.
Yeah, like,
she's with the dude now, and Brenda's cool people. But I'm just saying, like, we're not, like, we all lead with that, you know, that because that's what we have. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I guess my humor, you know, fall under the charisma category, but we lead with what we have in those regards. And yes, a person absent those things would have to rely on stability or something like that. But I mean, no one is entirely absent those things, for one, and for two, the whole Pookie, Ray Ray, educated lame argument really assumes that Pookie Ray Ray has all the looks and charisma, and the educated lames don't have any. Like, that's the only way that argument makes sense, or it makes sense to even have it, when that's not true. You know, I mean, a Pookie is going to win if he's handsome and charismatic regardless. So is a educated lame, you know, like Sigma says, like, you know, if you're handsome and charismatic, you're going to win no matter what. And if you aren't either of those things, you probably would gravitate towards heavily in one regard or another, you know, either education or Pookieism or something like that. And that's because, you know, without the looks or charisma, you're really going for status. And whether that's street status or, you know, status that comes through socioeconomic status, or, you know, through education or whatever, you're going to try to do that regardless. And I get it. It's no shade on anybody who does that. It's, you know, like, do what you can.
Yeah, game changer, but you have to understand that it's smart on Brenda's part to keep putting that out there. And let me tell you how women, they leverage what they want men to act like. So since most dudes want to take a shortcut, what she's doing is just sipping the pool by, like, look, you want access, this is how you got to act, and this is how you got to be. Boom. So she's going to leverage exactly what she wants to get out of the circumstance, because men don't really work together to control the environment. So I understand why she would actually think that, because she gets what she wants here. Now, if it's the polar opposite, you know, you go to Germany, these women are jumping out the fucking window to try to get dudes to just commit to a fucking relationship before they get to the infinite sex portion. So I get it. And men have to understand that why you don't have these power level conversations and immediately allow one side to be leveraged against the other, when we should actually be working together and making sure that these arguments don't happen in front of people who definitely got your best interest at heart, like most women do. So I get it.
Yeah, I agree with what you say, but I don't think that that's what she's doing.
No. It's not what she's doing, but you see women who do that. Like what she said was actually true, but how it can be leveraged the wrong way is most women who don't have your best interest at heart can say the same thing and mean something totally different, even though it sounds the same as she said.
Well, something else I wanted to add to what we were talking about earlier, in regards to, you know, this whole validation thing, is that I've known guys who were even better at my job than I was when I went into a workplace. They were at the top of the food chain in that office or in that department. But then when you went out with them to happy hour, these guys tended not to be that successful with women for whatever reason. But they were successful as hell when it came to their job and to their skill set. That just happened to be an area where they were not as successful. Not that they couldn't be, but because they hadn't invested as much time in their seduction as they had in their actual technical skills. So I'm not going to say to the guy who's an A+ master when it comes to web development and fixing the computers in my workplace, and then say, well, you're not successful because when we went out to happy hour last night, you got dissed by all the ladies in there. No, I can't say that at all. That person's successful in that field. They may just not be successful with the women on that day.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why it's situational and actual circumstantial.
It's allowing women to determine who is successful that I don't agree with, you know, and
I don't at all either.
Yeah. And that's why, you know, I'm against Obsidian's stream last night, you know, because that was the crux of it. Like, that's where it ultimately leads. If the women are the great deciders of your ranking structure within your organization, then of course they're the leaders of your organization. And if you created an organization like that, then it's doomed to fail. And, you know, I would just assume not be a part of it.
Well, I think the greatest debate in the history of this whole Black YouTube would be in 22 versus before even any. I know MOT was here before you and I, but let's say what I've heard about him in 2016 and 2017, the greatest debate would be to splice a debate between him and himself. Because when
2015 Obsidian versus now Obsidian, oh my God, that would be wow.
Because in 2018, it was all about Pookie as the destruction of the Black community and all this kind of talk. But if now you're saying that Pookie, who has the most children by the most Black women in the Black majority, is the most successful, total contradiction of everything ever said before. And I just can't roll with it again, because these women are going to choose who they choose or for a number of reasons. It can be different reasons on any given day.
Or they could just choose based on, this is what I want brothers to consider to be successful.
Correct.
Like,
yeah.
Once they start doing that, it's an automatic loss, because they're like, okay, this is, you know, then Derek Jackson would be the head of the Manosphere. Like, I mean, by his logic, Derek Jackson is more successful. Well, I mean, by most matrices he is, but
yes, that absolutely. He must be the king of all kings, because he, at least before that whole infidelity thing, that guy, didn't he have whole panels of women, over 1,000 lives, just listening to him?
And he had seminars with women only. So
he went to one of the seminars, he said, before, with all the women. He said that, I remember him telling a story when I was on the panel about being at one of those seminars, and how the girl he was with came back telling him how all these girls were saying how they want to bang the guy. You see what I'm saying? So yeah.
So I mean, if that's how Obsidian measures success, then Derek Jackson is successful. Like,
I mean, but it's smart for him to ally with those people to gaslight everybody else. Because the point is to create as much controversy as possible and not have him answer for it. Have us try to answer for it with him not present. Like, that's how this content strategy kind of goes. It's to leverage the most impossible type of standard, even though you don't apply to it, and try to super broad brush it on everybody else and try to gaslight everybody else who's not part of that specific and particular conversation. So I understand what's happening and why. It's just that if you paid attention to Obsidian for like at least 2015, like I have, it's really no surprise. It's no surprise. It isn't. He said he was here for what he's here for. And this is just the latest metamorphosis of Obsidian. Who knows? Something else will happen in the ether, and all of a sudden he's back over, kind of over here. All it takes is something to happen in the news, because it's circumstantial. So you have to go from one circumstance to the other to the other. And when there's nothing going on, you got to have a metamorphosis if you're going to be stuck. Because who haven't heard all Obsidian's talking points by now? Everybody has.
Right about that.
Yeah, and I want to get into that, but Judge, you have something.
No, I just said, yeah, I mean, I hate to say something that, you know, I realized that back with the Ren and Taz shit. I said, the man has, I've seen wet paper bags with more stand-up.
Oh, Judge broke up. So he's talking about the Ren and Taz days. That was an interesting period, and, you know, I guess Manosphere.
You was around for that, right? Game Changer, or was that slightly before you?
No, I was around for that.
All right. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I kind of liked the show for a little bit when it first started off. Yeah, you know, the Rocky situation, and then it just fell apart. But yeah, I watched it in the beginning.
Now, Cortez has a theory out there. He's basically saying that O-Man is trolling. And yeah, that would be.
He is correct.
Yeah. Which is not really I don't know how.
Yeah, we got a bad storm here in Cleveland. It's coming down. I think
dang.
that's interfering with. Yeah, but I mean, you say this man just is flipped on everything. I mean, we should have known that when he did the shit with Ren and Taz. I mean, it's like every 8 months this dude just totally flips. And I mean, like I said, he's got less stand up than a wet paper bag.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it's it is bad, but I wanted to do you think that all of this is a troll?
Yes. That's what he does. Like when you have him cornered and he spin moves out of it and pretend like you don't know what words mean. Of course he's trolling. Yes, that's what this all is. It's to troll men. That's what it's about. Because you're not giving people access to better products. You're not giving people access to better selection in women, and it's the shit to just troll black men and not give them solutions while talking to the women that he always wanted to talk to but not really deal with. I think it's a win-win for him, not really for everybody else. But
I think it points to the bigger thing, trolling or not trolling. I just think that black men have to get it in their mind. Stop trying to live vicariously through men online that you've never met. You don't know. You don't know what they've been through compared to what you've been through. You don't know how they interface in the real world. I think that to me is the biggest problem that I've noticed coming to these kind of spaces, that men are, instead of getting on what they need to do to actually succeed in life and meet their goals, they spend more time living vicariously through online characters. That's a bigger problem, in my opinion.
You think that somebody?
I mean, I think it goes along the same thing, King Signal.
Right quick. Who do you think that people want to live online through, like in the Manosphere?
I think any content creator. It doesn't even have to be. I think when a lot of people come to these spaces, living vicariously through the characters that are content creators. Even you could be a person that they're living vicariously through. The way that you talk, the way that you share your experience. There's people out there that want to do that, but they don't feel like they can do it. So they live through anyone that could be a content creator. Everybody.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. It's probably
so this is
home that would
interesting
love
because
to be Stovegate. They would love to be called the dude with Stovegate. It's probably somebody sitting in the audience. No, but for real, think about it. To sit up here and say, wait a minute, I went out of town, I had enough money, a nice chick showed me around, and then I was able to leave her with something. It's some men that, hey, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's somebody in there.
And you had access to it for 3 weeks? Come on, dude.
Talk about his ass, but think about it. Now, I mean, no offense. I don't think old man could do that.
Well, you know what's interesting is that
I mean, you really want to go somewhere with that. I mean, do you think that a woman, even a semi, could put up with him for real? For that long?
She didn't speak English, so she probably just, he wouldn't say anything to turn her off. But but there's something else going on there with that as far as Obsidian goes, because he actually can. He's technically retired, but his current occupation he can do from anywhere. Well, I've done live streams in the Dominican.
People want different things. People
there's some lies in that bullshit. Because I'm gonna just tell you like this: if you supposedly got hurt and all that shit back then, see, I started paying attention now as a person who actually was injured on the job, so I know how the workers' comp and all that shit goes. So if you supposedly got hurt on the job and that had to stop you, then why the fuck back then did we have to come to help you pay your bills? I mean, it was just for us like me. It was giving you $100 a month just to make sure you was cool.
Well, I mean, here's how I see it.
Wait. Plain and simple for you to sit up here and say that you was something. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. If you on workers' comp, you get all this shit damn near for free, and you get a stipend. You get a portion a month. So something ain't right there. And then with your ass flip-flopping back and forth so much, now you're starting to sit up there and think maybe it's all a lie.
Well, see, I think what happens with guys like that, I think that Dre's speaking to kind of a buyer's remorse.
No, I'm
not saying that you are. I'm just saying it sounds kind of like a situation with buyer's remorse where you thought you were buying something, and then you found out that it wasn't what you thought, and then you went to get your refund, and you can't get a refund back. And that's what I was speaking to about people living vicariously through content creators.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, that's what happens to them. they have this buyer's remorse. Like, man, I thought that this was about A, but then come to find out, now this guy's telling me I was way off. It's actually Z, but I was funding A. And now they're seeing that it was actually, it changes every day. And so these guys end up having this buyer's remorse. But if you would actually just have a standard of, I'm going to support the message and not the content creator or personalities, you'd probably be better off. It's just my opinion.
Well, here's I
luck
want
with that.
to talk about what Dre was talking about. I got you, the man.
Okay.
I want to talk about what Dre was talking about because it also says something about the need for validation. Now, Obsidian, Obsidian, he has the lifestyle that nothing about his lifestyle prevents him from like living abroad, like O'Shea does. No kids, no job at a brick and mortar place that requires that he's in office all the time. Is really nothing that stops him from moving to a sunnier place of the world. And, which is what I recommend many brothers. If you're retired military, if you're retired in general, and if you're not bound, then, I would definitely at least consider it. I mean, if I didn't live abroad, I would vacation, in monthly intervals abroad. He definitely can do that, much like O'Shea, but he's choosing not to. And I think the thing that binds him to Philadelphia is the validation from Philadelphian sisters.
Well, I don't think that's what it is, because he's told me before on panels that he doesn't even date women in Philadelphia. He says he actually goes to other cities to get them to come to Philadelphia. So it's not the Philadelphia women. I think it's more of a comfort. If anything, it's more likely he's just comfortable in that environment. But it ain't the women, because I've heard him say many times that he imports women from other cities to Philadelphia.
Yes, same here.
Yeah, I've heard him say that many times, but supposedly with the particular lady friend and all this other crap. And I'm like, when you can flip and change your stuff so much, who knows? That means you can lie. And see, I got a problem like that is I can't stand liars. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I'm the type of person to say we was cool and you lied or even lied and involved me in anything. That's automatic grounds for being hit. We fighting off rip. Because I got a problem is I don't like men that lie, because you can't trust them motherfuckers. I mean, any shit come down, you can't keep people right like that around. If you a lie, that's the worst type of man. That's the worst.
Let me get the man I am 77M.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? How you guys doing?
Pretty good, bro.
Can y'all hear me?
What up?
If I can be heard.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't have a whole lot of skin in the game, but I did want to put in my little 2 cents because I'm kind of new to all this.
Okay.
How does it person feel like if a person is trying to sell their book to these incels or these non-selects that this gentleman, goes around talking about? How does he, when he's kind of like bashing the people in the audience, or is he directing? Who is he actually directing all his talking points to when he's sounds like he kind of belittles people in his arguments when he's making a point? When I've seen him on other panels, it's almost like he's
I can answer that question for you.
It was always interesting to me.
Yeah, man, I can answer that if I can. GC?
Oh.
Yeah, you got it, MLT. You got it.
All right, so what you got to understand is that most people come here lost and they're looking for quick solutions. Part of that marketing ploy is that I'm ahead of you. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. Stand here in line and eat out of my hand. That's kind of what that is. Because I don't think there's all these incels and all these non-select lane, whatever that shit is. It's like, look, you put these dudes in a better marketplace, not like they should just bow down to what's here in the market. I'm not for that at all. I'm here for men to actually get themselves better and move to a different market. Not be a better choice for the people currently in the market. But they're marketing an actual solution that these people don't even know doesn't even work, because that person's not going after that type of person either. He's not going after the women that he's trying to push off on other men. That's always the problem I have with that.
So he's just acting and lying this whole time. He's just made up a whole persona to men that
correct.
Guess that. And how would you do you guys find it kind of interesting that somebody would call themselves a non-select? I mean, I've never heard that term. Matter of fact, I just found out what an incel was in 2021.
Man, you're not the only one, bro. Most of us were the same way when we came here. There was lots of terms
Yeah.
like
Never heard of this stuff.
non-select,
Like, what?
educated lame. Those weren't terms
Yeah, all this stuff.
in real life like that. When I came to this space, that's when that like, damn, people really feel like this. Even when it comes to the misandry that you see here, I never saw the level of misandry in real life that I see, you know, that comes together in these social media spaces.
Well, the thing about the term non-select 77 is that it doesn't have to be a consistent term. And that's the problem. I mean, that's why I never really embraced it. Non-select just means that women aren't selecting you. If they start to select you, then how can you be the voice of the non-select anymore? You see what I mean?
That wouldn't make any sense. It wouldn't
Yeah,
make any
exactly.
sense.
So like some titles are static. Some titles remain the same no matter, or final. They remain the same no matter what. Like, you know, like black, for example, you know, or short or tall, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Some things are just stagnant. But it's kind of like I'm the voice for poor men, but all somebody has to do is make you rich, and you're no longer the voice for poor men, you know?
Right.
And
So
that's what they did to break up unions in the past. Like, so I mean, it's something that leaves you susceptible to, you know, them. And that, like I say, it's currency. And they don't actually have to select Obsidian to do this. They just have to pseudo select. They just have to give attention and validation. He didn't say actually, you know, speaking with these women, you know.
So so this is a marketing ploy for him to get the bag.
Correct.
I think that this is a marketing ploy for him to get attention from women. Now, what you were asking about the book is interesting because I haven't read the first one or the second one, and I'm not going to. But and this isn't because, you know, I
when did he come out with the second one?
We came out with
he has a female
female
version. He's going to the feminist route. He's he
bro,
switched whole lanes.
Well, we got to deal with this incel while we all on here. We got to deal with that too, because I just heard the brother Game Changer mention how these people equivocate on terms all the time. That's why I don't use red pill. That's why I don't use the term blue pill, and that's why I try not to use incel and these words, because these words are meaningless. Like, for example, when I heard the word incel for the first time, right, I took incel to mean exactly what it means when I went and looked in the dictionary: involuntary and celibate. Somehow, in the time that I've been around these guys in this space, it doesn't mean involuntary celibate. It means whatever they needed to mean in order to use it as a cudgel against other men. I'm going to say this is the definition that I understand incel to mean. You are involuntarily celibate, meaning you want to have sex, but you are unable to have sex. For whatever reason, you're not having sex. The woman you want to have sex with won't have sex with you. You're stationed on a boat somewhere in the Navy. You can't get access to women. So in that state, you can't get laid. So you're involuntary celibate. But I've heard guys say, but you could be getting laid and still be an incel. And I was like, yo, these guys here, I'm going to say it straight out. There are psychopaths.
So they just make
that
stuff
you will
up
come
as-
across in these spaces on here. You guys better be careful, because there are lions walking in these digital spaces that without this YouTube thing, they are nothing and they are broke. They are psychopaths, bro.
Well,
you are the
that's what I'm talking about. Like the tool that we use to shame each other is based primarily, if not solely, on a woman's form of validation. We basically shame the men that women don't validate, and we champion the ones that do. As long as we do that, you know, we are at their mercy in that regard, which is why organizations like that are doomed to fail. You know, it's always been a woman's organization if they have the power of determining who you validate and who you don't. Like that's just, you know, it was done at the foundation. It took me too long to realize that, but it was done at the foundation, if that's the case.
Correct. I mean, like you.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, I just real quick, man. I don't even think it's just about women. It's almost like he has this elitism, and he was a blue collar guy, right? He didn't go to. He's not an alumni from a Big Ten. I don't.
No, it had nothing to do with that. It's the fact of this. This is the problem with.
I mean, he talks like that. He talks like he's
listen. This is his main Achilles heel from people being around him. Old man has never been part of what they call the in crowd. That's why he became the leader of the non-select, that he tried to create an in crowd there. And as you see, to show his loyalty to what his in crowd that he came, because as soon as he got any little bit of attention, he left all them people alone because he just wanted to get attention from females in some form or fashion. If you ever noticed
I
that,
just wanted to monkey branch to another group.
Right. But look,
it is a problem with what 77 was talking about. There is an error, and we've all felt it. I'm not, mentioning anything new, of elitism that comes off of him.
Indeed,
definitely,
indeed.
Which is very bizarre considering not being, until recently, I guess, not being a person of any significant status.
Right.
So
you got to finally get it. It's like getting a taste. It's like getting a taste. You've gotten a taste of attention where you've never had it before. Especially when you get attention from females. If you notice, look what happened with the shit with Ren and them. When he went over there with them girls, that was the first time he ever had attention from females on any type of scale. And look how he changed it. There wasn't no money involved, very little. If anything, he lost money. And he was just like sliced bread. And they treated him like shit.
And that's what I mean.
Well, and I can tell you, if you've ever been around boule type people, they ain't all that, bro. Trust me. I spent a year at the University of Minnesota Law School, and one of the things that I hated about it is that I couldn't stand the snobs there, because again, I'm kind of a unique person because I come from a working class environment, but I've succeeded in these white collar environments, and I can tell you, I hated the snottiness that I saw from because the people that I met at the U of M Law School were all elite people, bro. Like their fathers and mothers were either doctors, senators. You're not even supposed to be there as a working class person, so you're the anomaly to them. And from me as a working class person, I couldn't stand the snobbish behavior and their attitudes. So for me, I've never been a fan of that whole looking down on people.
Yeah, they almost like they're not black. They almost like totally European or something. Right. It's no wrong with
and nor do I have a desire to actually reach. Well, you can never reach that because there is a such thing as new rich versus old rich, new rich versus
new money versus old money.
New money.
Yeah. So you'll never reach old money. At least I'll never reach old money status. But if I were to reach new money status, the thing that I would do with that status would not be shitting on the no money status. Kind of like now I don't go around and make fun of the homeless. It's that type of thinking. Like there's really something wrong with a person that looks for opportunities to shit on those beneath them, especially when you were in that position.
But game changer. The main thing is you were in that position, and on top of that, you were depending on people in that position to provide you with food and shelter.
Yeah.
I mean, like technically for you to shit on the blue collar people like that, and then it's like, well, now that you done graduate, fuck them niggas. Niggas, they kept you alive for 3 fucking years.
It's the type of masochism that right quick, it's the type of masochism that I used to scratch my head on with that song from 50 Cent. Nigga, you just a window shopper.
Right.
I was like, wait, you talking about me? Like, you talking about me? You shit on me?
People, man, people will spit on their audience and they'll still
it's me buying your stuff that makes you not a window shopper. And now you are one of the things I bought while looking in the window, nigga. How you talking about me? Like that always, and people just bob their head to it like, we talking about you, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We talking about you.
It's psychotic.
But I think it's a bigger difference when you have a talk. When you talk to a person, you kind of know them. You absorb some type of cordial response. It ain't like you sit there and talk to 50 Cent.
I'll be like, nigga, you talking about me? But go.
Let me jump in for a second. Help you out. MOT before you go. MOT before you go.
Okay. All right. So it's like what King Sigma was talking about. When I was going for my doctorate, I had took classes specifically so that way I could see what the first residency was like. So that way I could see what the people was going to be like, who I was going to be around once I graduated. I'm glad I took that residency, because once I sat there and I seen like the snobbishness that didn't make any sense, how much shit they talk to people, and you have to understand, like I would, like the Veterans Administration was paying for my degree because I was a veteran, and I was gonna take medical research, tactics and all that kind of stuff back to them. But after I left there, man, I couldn't be around these people, dude. It's like I don't want to be a doctor and be around these type of people. So I'm just gonna leave this program.
Uncomfortable, man. Especially if you come.
It does. Oh my God.
You got your granddad used to work real hard. It's almost like we forget who our grandparents were.
Or you forget that you were in that position, because a lot of us see when you get to that level, when you're around people that are in the top 10%, 90% of them come from wealth. I mean, generational wealth. So when you come into the environment as someone that comes from the working class, they don't initially assume you're from the working class. Because when I was in college, they thought I was from like a Bill Cosby kind of situation. So they thought when they would talk these things, like, in like sociology class or different classes, a lot of the topics be about poor people, right? And their dysfunction. And you're sitting there like, wait, hold up. I come from an environment, but you're not really speaking to the cause of the effect. But you got it, JSP. I know you've been waiting. So
I want to make 3 good points here. And I tried to make this on the show earlier. So I'm going to break it down. Okay? There was always the small details that a lot of people just didn't pay attention to. Now, let's just look at this. Who were his teachers? Tom Lankus, Howard Stern. What numbers did he throw out this morning? 70-something%. And then only 25% of the people. Howard Stern believed throughout his history on radio that 75% of the people hated his guts, and 25% was the people who supported him. And 75% wanted to see him just what the hell he would do from day to day. All right? Tom Lankus, same thing. KFI, right here in LA where I'm at. Pretty much the same theory. So if you try to put too much into it, then you're not going to understand. He came from a teaching that he had seen it worked for a long time. Talk shit to the people, make them feel bad, and for some reason or another, people will tune in. All right? Number 2, I remember, I think it started happening about 2 years ago when I first came in. He used to always talk about big, juicy, y'all know what came after that, right? Right? That was his thing. This is what the ladies want. Big, juicy, and he would just spill that out over and over. He didn't stop doing that till like the latter part of last year. And what he was saying, this is small details I'm telling y'all about. What he was saying that regardless of how he got up and talked about these Pookies and Ray Ray, they were the ones who was winning. Because at the end of all conversation, regardless of what you had, what you can offer them, at the end, it was big, juicy, whatever. You see what I'm saying? So
he had that.
So when you really understand, you look at an animal, you always look at it, how the animal conducts itself by who trained them. And so this is why I say I wasn't surprised. And then he put on top of all of that it was a business for him. So I didn't hold him to any standards. Once I know them 3 ingredients, I just accepted him for who he was. So I'm saying we can sit down here and try to analyze everything. But if you go back and listen to any Tom Lankus or any Howard Stern show, and anybody can pick up a thesaurus and change a word like lames or all that. Only thing you have to do is put the word in there and they give you associated words to go along with it and thesaurus. So that's where all them slogans and stuff came from. So I just say, when you look at that's why I pay attention to the small details, because the small details of anyone tells you who they are, not what they're yelling, but the small details. That's the only thing I wanted to say. And so if somebody disagree with me, that's fine, whatever. But I listened to Howard Stern for years. I listened to Tom Lankus for years. And I know they snick. And when I heard Obsidian, that's the only thing I heard. come out of his
That's a
mouth.
good
He
point.
don't.
That's what I've
I
seen.
know,
But is he got an audience that's paying?
well, I mean, as far as I know,
paying for his
JSP,
personality.
Tom Likas never flip flopped.
No, if
Like Tom Likas never said something as let's just use the word stupid as to say that my show should be in charge of women. Or
he didn't do it
women should be
in
charge of my
voice,
show.
but he did it in action. He was caught up in a lot of bullshit that he was trying to pass off on the radio, but he was doing something different on the outside, and that's what I'm saying. People
What do
brand
you mean? So you're saying
don't
that
really
Tom Likas,
represent them as the person they are.
you're
A
saying that
brand
Tom
is
Likas
just what it
flip-flop?
is. It's a brand.
And see, I
That's
think
the business
what
part
J
of it.
Speed is pointing to though is what I was saying earlier. Some guys are here as a job. This is more of a job, and others come to these digital wells for information. So it just depends. And that's why I say you shouldn't look up to content creators, bro, especially if you don't know their real world track records. Because they're not necessarily there for the same reason you're there for. And it is what it is. You got to understand that lots of guys come here. If you turn off this YouTube and they go back to their real life, they failed. But with this YouTube, it's an opportunity for a lot of money. You can make a lot of money off YouTube if you do it in a certain way. So keep that in mind.
You remember in Low Down Dirty Shame where
I made
when
$10 so
he was
far.
laying in the bed with the
I don't know
chick?
about that.
But remember in
You
Low Down
said you
Dirty
made
Shame,
how much, Game Changer?
I made $10 today.
What's your cash app? What's your cash app? Put your cash app in the private chat, but I'll make sure that you get at least lunch today, bro. Put your cash app in the private chat.
I appreciate it. Let me get a Subway sandwich.
You can't have it, brother. Y'all can't
I'm gonna make a
support
donation too,
Game
man.
Changer, man. You can't have him out starving, man.
hey, Game Changer. Game
What's up?
Changer.
That's a
Remember,
true statement they say about J Speed. That's a true statement because I learned that technique long time ago. You take somebody's topic and you flip it upside down so people can start thinking. See, that's the problem. People lay shit out there and they just want you to suck it in, digest it, and shit it out. What I do is take that same topic and become the advocate of that topic to make people think it through. That's all my job is, to make you think. I'm not here to change your mind. So yeah, I'm a comedian. I'm a professional comedian. I got paid for it in Hollywood and on stage. So you damn right, I'm the king of bullshit.
Okay, but this one thing I want to say, kind of good way to tell with. He's kind of like you ever see the Low Down Dirty Shame, the guy who was dressed like who he was laying in the bed with, and and then he saw him that next day at work. And he's like, wait a minute, what happened to the wigs and I am yours and all that shit? He's like, shit, that is my hobby. This pays the bills. That's whole man.
Oh, okay, I get it. Okay, so
you know what I'm talking
about? He said that in the thing. Listen, okay, so there's soldiers and then there's mercenaries. So soldiers, they get paid. It's nothing wrong with paying people who defend your nation, you know. So, however, mercenaries are somebody who don't really have a nation and they just go to the highest bidder. That is problematic, especially when they do it in the uniform of a certain nation. Like that, that's where the deceit comes in. That's the part that I can't really rock with.
I want to say, everybody,
Judge, thanks a lot. Appreciate you.
For brother, man.
No, thanks for the cash app, Judge.
I got you.
I mean, and that's what he was alluding to.
$20, man.
No, thanks for the $25. And Mr. Shane Dishes, I appreciate it. Pizza. Oh, see, I'm upgrading from Subway to pizza. I appreciate y'all.
All right, we at least get you. Look. We want to make sure you got enough to buy another stove for somebody.
Hey, if a Game Changer was a woman with her titties out, you know, it'd be lit.
Make sure he can buy
what?
No, basically, a lot of the
he's
guys
basically
give
saying that the
women a
female
whole lot of
YouTubers do
donations,
better in
bro.
this
That's
space
my point,
than the male YouTubers. I mean,
yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. Thank you, Game Changer. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, really, I'm not mad at it because, you know, I support a lot of the female YouTubers, Chantel, Melody, Danica to a lesser extent, you know, so I don't really have a problem. And I know that sex sells and sex appeal sells and that pick-me's just tend to be prettier. Don't really have a problem with that. And I know that my channel probably isn't going to grow as much as many others because now the new standard is to be cammed up. And that's not a step that I'm really willing to take right now. So, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, I'm happy to have a voice in this space.
Yeah, but most people who are cammed up, it doesn't help what they're talking about. They still don't bring any additional context. No.
Well, YouTube will tell you that people just feel more comfortable you know, like eye to eye, like they're talking to the person. Like Bernard and, you know, Edward, their content is great, and you know, they say what they say. And they also have that, you know, look you in the eye feel. And that's something I can't really provide right now. So I get it. I'm not, you know, that and titties is something that, you know, I can't really capitalize off of. So it is what it is.
All right, go ahead and order something to eat.
But somebody says Cameron, yeah, maybe one day soon. But you know, I might go completely expat next year. That's my hope.
Wow.
So
Do you really want to be having all these people call your job when you really trying to get your stuff? Like it doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, but I understand the argument is a fake standard. It allows people to think they have some kind of sort of credibility that they don't by just being on camera. Because I thought we was here for the information, but if you have to look at it through the entertainment, I actually want to. Yeah, I get it. All right, okay, all right,
you got to really be careful too. It's like just like with me. For me to actually be able to get online and actually speak the truth how I do, and I said some shit that'll hurt people's feelings, and like literally the much shit that I've said. If niggas knew that they could stop my money, you realize they would have been had me. But thank God I work for myself. That gives me the freedom to say what the fuck I want. It ain't like you can find my customers. But like literally, I'm not gonna lie. When I went back and I was working for that company downtown, that was the worst time I ever felt because it was a known nationwide company where if anybody knew, they could, you know, get me in trouble that way. But to know that, wow, people online could actually reach out and touch the people I work for. And it's like, you know, so I totally understand why some people, you know, you can't show your face or you can't let them know too much.
hey, set up a GoFundMe, 50 G's. I'll be, you know, I said it.
50 G's.
I said it.
50 G's, man.
Yeah, 50 G's. Hey, as long as you got enough to where you know that, hey, I'm cool. As long as I got a year for this to take off. Yeah, you're right. Somebody say, okay, well, fine. We want him to show his face and be on TV. Give him 50 G's. So that way, at least he know. And that way, if somebody tried to stop his shit, at least he ain't going to be starving next week.
Well, yeah.
And, you know, right.
Well, here's
bro, I totally understand. Think about it.
It's
that
a
woman
good point
cost me $40,000. That woman cost me $40,000 just because I didn't give her no dick.
No, like you could lose business. Like if I lose,
imagine
like,
what one of these motherfuckers that ain't got no time at home,
another contract or something like that, then you know that will cost. So at least I had a 50 G's to say, okay, it was worth it. You know, like, you know, if I don't get another contract because of something I said or did online, you know.
Oh yeah, it could have real world repercussions for you. You know, and if you're a person that's actually out here and you actually have a job, and it depends on, you know, you have, because a lot of times with Black men especially, and I had to get over this over time, is that we wear two masks in the world when we work in. We have our private life, and then we have to go interface with the white dominant society in the workplace. A lot of guys are like that. I was like that for a long time until I got to the point where I knew I had enough saved up in the bank where I could get in the middle finger to my bosses anytime I wanted to, and I stopped trying to wear that mask at work. But a lot of guys, they're still at a point where they want to keep their private life private. Then they want to have their public life be what it is and keep them separate. But if you're going to do YouTube as a full-time person and you want to maximize your income, there's definitely a strong strategy for doing that, you know, camming up if that's what you want to do. But not everyone wants to be a YouTuber full-time.
Yeah, I didn't even plan for it to get as big as it got, and my channel got in the past, to be honest. I just, you know, I thought that mine was going to just like remain stagnant at the Sergeant Willie P sector, you know, like he has his following, he says what he says, and then he's over. You know, I thought that my channel was going to be something like that. I didn't think that I was going to do live streams for long periods of time and all that good stuff, you know.
Hey, Game Changer.
What's up?
See, you know.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Shane Bishop. If I didn't say that before, you say peace on me. Go for it.
Okay. So, one of the things that people don't understand, with all my vernacular and my grammar and everything, I'm an actor. And I can switch up anytime I want to. Okay? So, but when I feel comfortable, I'm going to be me. But one of the things I observed when I first came into knowing the Manosphere, I had been on Facebook for almost 4 years before I discovered this on this end. The first person I ran into was Obsidian. We
Okay.
got on and we joked, and then he relayed me over to O'Shea. Well, the first thing that I observed about this whole thing, and if anybody don't believe me, go back and look at the interview that DJ Cooter did for me. See, some people live in the now and live in what I call hot topics, whatever's in the now. I live in the future. And believe it or not, I don't live in the past as much as people think I do, as much as I talk about it. But I know how rush starts and then it just decayed the whole panel. So that's why I talk in the past to show you what's going to happen in the future. But I predicted this right here, what's going on now with the Manosphere, that it was going to break up. Somebody was going to take y'all talking points, take your whole set and use it into a different format and bring it close under that one umbrella I was trying to tell Mr. Riley this morning. And LaPifa has did that, has already did that now. Now I did this interview about a year ago. I said that the Manosphere should come together with a think tank, have some governing bodies that would include small channels and big channels, have some people who come in and think this thing through, come up with a mission statement, come up with a brand and everything. When my little small pecan mind from the country was able to see that and see what was going to happen, because I don't live in the now. I lived anywhere from 10 to 15 years in the future, because that's what people who are successful in the world and successful in life, they don't never live in the now. They look ahead, way beyond what is happening in their face. And that's why a lot of people are surprised when things happen, because they're always looking in the now.
See, I actually disagree with that, J Speed, and I get what you're saying, which is kind of funny because I know that I've heard about this whole thing where there was a group outside of those initial guys that actually trademarked the term Black Manosphere. So I get where you're going with that, but I have to disagree with you because I can only speak for myself. But what I always found attractive of these digital spaces was the fact that it was decentralized, and that there was any brother just jump on this freemium model, speak his opinion on whatever the topic is, because there's always these variety of topics. And I think once you streamline it, then it becomes easier to control by those that you were originally saying that you were speaking against. I always saw this space as an anti-establishment space, a space that was speaking against misandry and anti-Black male hate, things like that. And I think that the format of it being decentralized is more effective, because my model is history. So I know you're saying look into the future, but I look at that historically. When you get behind just one figure, and that person becomes a very easy target for manipulation by the establishment,
Correct.
or outright taken out. I like the fact that I could go to Game Changer's channel and he's talking about something. I can go to MOT, he's talking about something, but it's not about MOT or about GC. They have a good discussion, and that's what I'm there for. I think the personality cult thing always ends badly, especially for Black people, especially
No,
for Black men.
I think you missed out what I was saying. See, what I was talking about in that interview was having a game changer, having a MOT, or having this person, or having that person, Bernard Bradley, all on a showcase where at different times, different people will come on. You wouldn't stop them from what they do great. And then if they want to spring off and have different channels, I seen this in regular sitcoms. You know what really start killing regular sitcoms? Reality shows. You know why? Because reality shows seem to be not regulated, but they are, and they are scripted. Now, do they go off script sometimes? No different than a wrestler who might goes in the ring and be doing a script wrestling match, but he absolutely get hurt while he's in the ring because he's doing something physical. So it's not that you're trying to put everybody on the same standard. It's just different shows for different time slots. That's what I was talking about more. Doing one under the Manosphere, having different time slots, and then a person who wanted to do their own thing on the outside of that time slot, that would build that person's channel and even make them go over to the person's personal channel. I said that would be more better. And I'm gonna tell you, you think just because you are in a time slot or whatever, nobody's gonna sensitize you with what you can say and what you do. They are hiring you for your personality. They are putting you in certain time slot because of your personality. So it's not taking anything away from anything and making it the people would it would be so robotic. No, you are putting these talented people together under one thing and giving them different time slots where you can brand that. And I know what your brand you're talking about, the people who went there and got the magazine. I'm talking about nothing like that.
Yeah, I'm just saying that there's
just for right quick. Actually, there was discussion at one point, maybe a couple years ago, and Kevin Samuels was in on it, where and I think MOT, you were there too, right?
Yeah, I was there.
Meetings and Kevin Samuels was there and stuff. So yeah, we were working along the lines of what you were talking about. Stuff like that does get complicated. Lapeef, to his credit, was able to do something like that, and I think that what he did that we don't do is, he has control over the channel. A person can get kicked out of the channel where, with us, if a person goes rogue like Obsidian did, it's just like, yeah, what are you gonna do? I'm going to go rogue as I can with
Yeah, but he was always gonna go rogue because his end goal was right in front of everybody's faces. So I don't see why we're that surprised. I mean, he said it on many, many different occasions. I mean, even well, I don't want to say his name, but three-letter guy, he did the same thing. He said he would throw all men under the bus if he could make a bigger dollar out of it. He said that. He actually said that.
So when you say why are you surprised, I'm gonna be honest. Because I'm a man of, I like to consider myself to be a man of some principle. It surprises me when anybody goes rogue on anything. Like, I mean, for example, I see this from time to time. I don't know why it comes up on my feed. Like, those people who are in their 30s or 40s and they're renouncing their college fraternities, their historical Black fraternities and sororities.
For what reason?
Well, I mean, some of them say stuff. It's really more sorority girls that do it than anything. But some of them say stuff like they worship a false god when really they just take a Greek god as their mascot because it's a Greek organization. But they have very weird reasons. But I'm like, wait a minute, how disloyal are you? Don't act like you didn't enjoy, what it gave to you, at least in college. Like, I just don't really understand. I scratch my head every time when people flip flop or they have that type of betrayal on them. I don't get it at all.
Yeah, well, I get that when people start talking shit about the VA and all that kind of stuff,
that's my point.
About how they don't get help and all that kind of shit. Like, yeah, that shit really gets on my nerve. Yeah, but I get what you're talking about, man. I do.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe it's about money, but I don't get it. Here, let me read some of these. Deacon Dave, thanks. Y'all came through ever since I mentioned it. I was just saying that, like, it's not real money in it, but y'all really proved me otherwise. I appreciate y'all. Deacon Dave, thanks for the 10, bro. I appreciate you. Tomorrow. Say that again.
You're trying to make sure you got something to eat tomorrow.
Oh, I appreciate it.
I just think that the guys that have been here for a long time, and I get it, you got guys that have been here for 5, 10 years, 15 years, or whatever. But I think that what they might miss is the fact that a lot of the people that came to support them came because they were anti-establishment and that they built their reputations around being a counter to what they themselves call, I don't like this term, gynocracy, because I don't believe that if there's any kind of in America, then it's white supremacy. If there is any kind, but there can't be white supremacy and a female supremacy. There's one or the other. And the female's control is all artificial. It's absolutely artificial, as they just found out in the Ukraine when those transgenders thought they were going to be able to escape. And Zelensky said, wait. Oh, you thought that because Biden said you're a woman? Oh, no, you're going to this draft, 18 to 60 years old, get your butt back in here. So, ultimately, what actually brought people to this space is that they felt that these brothers were speaking against the quote unquote Black matriarchy and speaking on things that for so often have only been spoken amongst Black men, in their own private lives or in their barbershop. And for the first time, it's open that all of us all across the world from different walks of life could connect with each other and found out, damn, you know, J Speed think like that, MOT and all these guys think like that too. This is good because, you know, in the real world, if you worked in corporate America, you've worked in government, and you went to university, it's very isolating for a black male because you get in these environments and you find out quickly you're one of the few black males there. And when you're talking about someone that's willing to be a thinking black man, that tightens up. Your circle gets small very fast. I've been in too many environments where, like in corporate America, where I was one black person among 100 white people and Asians. And it got to the point, I just thought that was the norm. And then when I came into this space, I'm like, damn, finally, there's other brothers that are seeing things that is going on in this greater society like me. And that's what attracted me to the space. Not no one character, just that one thing that I heard other brothers talking about things that I had felt that I had to keep to myself for so many years because there was no one that was willing to listen or that could understand what I was seeing.
And that's where the experience come in.
It's disturbing. Well, it's disturbing that what you described and what we provided to you and many others like you, and you're part of the provision. It's disturbing that somebody would say, "Hey, we should give it to women. That women should lead this. Women should lead something that makes men feel empowered and proud of." It's so bizarre. You know, it's a whole new level. And I get it. He's a shock jock. It's shocking. You know, he's stirring up the pot. So
it is.
Yeah, we can have conversations like the one we're having now based on something that he started. You know, I get it. He pushed the first domino. But I mean, you should be able to rebuild after this. You know, like not all money is good money. You know, shout out to any brother that's played dominoes ever. You know, like you don't mess yourself up, brother, like by doing stuff like that. And he does it chronically. He does it chronically.
But that usually don't find out until the end of the bridges when all bridges have been burnt, and he would hope that he put himself in a financial situation where even though he burned the bridges, that you don't have to even worry about it. And so, see what that brother was saying just before he came into this space. And that's what's the great thing about me being a elder in this space, because I've been in different organizations where I've been around police, governors, people who are on the boards of cities, you know, and all types of people and all types of backgrounds, and be absolutely meeting at one place that you can see that somebody said this. I don't know who said. I don't know if Spike Lee or somebody said. He said we all have to wear the mask, but some of us so happy to wear it. And so I have always been around people who are not followers of the corporate or the mainstream, and they always had their way of their thinking. They just didn't speak it out there. Just in certain meetings they would come, and then you would welcome them due to the fact you would say, damn, I didn't think somebody was in government would do that. Matter of fact, believe it or not, the organization I'm talking about, we had, you know, over hundreds of police officers. You wouldn't have never know that they would be police officers in that organization. So I have always been around with people who have combated mainstream, and especially when they go in places like when I first worked for DeKalb County Fleet Maintenance. I was the one of two. I was the first, but one of two people they ever hired to work in the body shop, and it was in the 80s. They had never hired someone in the body shop to design the police cars or fix the police cars or anything. So, yeah, you have a lot of people who maybe the younger generation that this has been a great experience for them, but some of us older guys who have had experience in different areas and different levels of life, we know there are people out here who think like the people in the Manosphere.
True. Let me read the rest of these. So King Sigma, thanks a lot. Eat brother eat. MOT, thanks a lot. Appreciate the contribution.
Step away
Thank
for
you,
2
first
minutes.
timer. Intelligent Risk Takers Network. It says thanks for letting me on the panel. Hey, thanks for coming up. Appreciate you, brother. Salute. All right. Let me see who else we got. All right. Okay, so thanks a lot, brothers. And now, as far as what
All right, now let's
Signal,
start working on the light bill. But just
say that
don't
again.
play it like I said. Now, all right, now we done took care of the food. Let's start working on the light bill.
Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Uh,
Hell, work on the rest of the mortgage. I don't care. Like, hey,
All right.
I'm not gonna complain. No, but I mean, I am happy more than the money. I am happy to, like sometimes I see something, and this happened ever since social media existed. Like, I'll see something like I enjoy having a place where I could say stuff that's on my mind and people hear it. My cousin sent me a picture of that Lakeith guy who she had a crush on in stockings, and I was like, oh dang, this was your crush, and I know you crushed that the niggas in stockings right now. So and that's why she sent it to me. And it was like it felt good to just vent it to y'all. Like, hey, this is where they taking us. This is where we going and stuff. So I mean, I'm happy to have a channel for that. I mean, the money, I appreciate that too. It's humbling, but it's good to have a voice. And I think one thing that's consistent throughout the Manosphere, if you're looking for a common thread, is that we want to end the gynocracy. Now, I do believe that we should be looking towards some type of order outside of it, but we definitely want to end the Black gynocracy. And what was said last night, and trust me, I never really went against Obsidian like this before, because I appreciate he being a part of the foundation of the Manosphere. And besides, he never really came at me directly like that. But what he did last night was not only was he not working against the gynocracy, or what he called the hive mind, or the Borg, the black female hive queen, or whatever he called it. He was working for it. It's like he was already assimilated into the Borg, and now he's trying to say, hey, it's a good thing to be under the Borg queen hive mind. What are your takes on that? Well, how many of you heard him?
I think it's kind of insane, because again, I think that the reason that you're expressing that feeling is that you've seen the whole cycle play itself out. And I felt that too at a certain point. It was just so shocking to me to see the same guys that when I came in, I was listening to all their talking points, and now they've actually become exactly what they were fighting against. It's like I've heard the Grinch, because he does those funny voices or whatever, and he talks about how how the character in the Matrix, it's the girl in the red dress, and then it's the agent.
Yeah.
And he does that little voice he does. That's really what's happening, man. It's in real time. So I know where you're coming from with that, because I felt the same way until I accepted the fact that this whole platform is open for anyone to express their feelings. And the less emotion you put into any content creator, the better off you're going to be. Because if you find yourself saying, I'm going to go against GC today because that content creator's against GC, don't be surprised if you come back a week later and now GC and the same content creator are on a panel together like nothing ever happened. So there's that element to what goes on too, that you got to pay attention to it. And I think the audience might lose out, but you've been around long enough to see this whole thing literally come full circle.
Yeah, but
what would you? Oh, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Say something real quick.
But what people feel is, and it's a true feeling, you feel like you was exploited for the amount of time that you were listening to him, thanks to the actual, heel turn. And that's something that you can't get past.
But you were exploited because you and I, matter of fact, I remember a specific panel that you had where we were talking about the fact that you have all these online gurus who they don't have license from any universities or any state. They're not insured. They're not bonded. They have no liability. And I remember you and I went back on if someone would eventually get sued. Then it was funny when I came back around and I found out that chick TK, whatever her name is, Tasha K or whatever, that she found
TKO.
Yeah, that chick got sued in real life.
Right. Like Ken.
Sorry, Tasha K.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that chick right there, she got sued in real life, and she's having to suffer the real consequence. And we were talking about how eventually one of these online gurus is gonna mess up, and they're gonna have to pay for giving out this advice, which is only entertainment, but they're presenting themselves to the public and to their audiences as if they're professionals. So we were talking about on that stream how in a pyramid scheme, I was giving the example to you that it's awesome to be a broke dude and then to be able to come on YouTube and not be any of the things that you're presenting yourself to be to the audience, but to use their naivete and their money that they're getting in the real world to build yourself up that pyramid, and then you can look down and piss on the same people that if it wasn't for them, you wouldn't be shit. So that's a pyramid scheme, and I'm just saying, saw that a long time ago that guys are doing that.
Yep.
And I'm just wondering, do you put it all on the seller, or is there an equal relationship between the seller and the buyer? I'm not coming to YouTube to listen to no gurus tell me how to live my real fucking life. Period. But if you guys want to do that, I mean, MOT, how long have you been stomping against the online gurus? You got to 25,000 subscribers. You could be at 100,000, but you chose to stand on your principles. But you didn't get paid for doing that from the audience people. No, they wanted to be lied to by the online gurus. And then everyone's clutching their pearls when the whole thing happened to Tasha K. Like, what are you dudes talking about? This is what goes on in the real world. You can't just get on here misleading people in a fraudulent way and not eventually get some kind of justice through the courts. It's going to happen eventually to one of these online gurus.
Well, the reason why I would never get online and mislead people is because the problem is this. Some people don't mind the risk that comes. But when you get online, you mislead people that and the other way. Consequently, this online shit is too personal and like that. It spills over into the real world. And I realize that certain things that you're gonna do online, hey, this can have real world repercussions. And I mean, some risk I don't think I should take. Like me, I would never. Hey, this is what it is. This is what it is. It's just what I'm not gonna flip on it. Why? Because think about it. If the people who say y'all paid off all my child support or something back then, and then I come out to be some person just like that, a scammer or whatever type of person, I would hate for somebody to reach out and touch me. I don't want to be maybe too, I have a conscience. I don't want to have to be worried about who's walking behind me when I go out somewhere. I mean, I realize that, some people, hey man, you lied and did like that. Some people, they get mad when people lie to them. I mean, because they basically, you said, hey man, this is what it is. It's the foundation. This is how we stand. This is what we believe in. And then all of a sudden, now after you done got all our money, oh no, 180. I mean, some people, when you take take money out of a person's hand, you really got to be careful. I mean, think about it.
In the real world,
no boy to kill somebody for $10.
In the real world, that's called fraud. That's like if you go to a financial advisor, and if someone presented themselves as a doctor or a financial advisor or a lawyer, and they were proven not to be, they would be sued civilly, and they would also face criminal charges and be suspended. But the problem is, a smart person should be able to ask himself, am I talking to a professional, or am I just talking to someone that's giving their opinion? I'm just asking, when I came into this space, I always heard brothers using the term thinking black men. I noticed something. Whenever I come around the space now, no one ever uses that term anymore. And it's for good reason. It's for good reason. Because you come to find out that the thinking black men are the minority and the sheep are the majority. So I'm just saying that at what point do you have to look at yourself and say, am I looking to people that are clearly not professionals for professional advice?
Can I jump in real quick, fellas? Just 1 second, because I'm going to be jumping off.
Just an opinion on this. If you take anything more than that, you might need a psychological evaluation.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one, man.
But I totally understand what you're saying.
Well,
some people
let's 77 chime in for a second.
Yeah, real quick. What would you guys say if a person was flip flopping with their message to sell out, but they just said it's just business?
Well,
that's the thing. I don't agree with that. I mean, I think that as a person does that, you should step like, and that's why I was using the examples earlier on Bernard's. Like, if you're a Mormon, and then next thing you know, your elder starts talking up the Baptist church, and they say, perhaps the Mormon church should be ran by the Baptist church, then, hey, if you're a Mormon, then you leave. Like, that's, at that point, you just leave. Right. Or if you're God's chosen and, they say, hey, we should really just let our religion be ran by Muslims, then you leave at that point. That's just some egregious stuff. Like, oh crap, it's time. That's when it's just time to go.
Yes, I agree.
Like pure, like I remember the cartoon version because I'm older of Lion King. And the lioness were around because Mufasa had just died, and Scar gave that speech saying that now is the time for lions and hyenas to use. Like, oh crap, like this nigga's ill. This is it's time for a new lion. He's on that fuck shit. He letting hyenas run the kingdom. So like sometimes it's just time to be like, hey, listen, it's gotta turn my back on you.
Yeah, and I mean that's the person has to make that decision, but it's not like just because you tell them to do that they're going to do it. I've learned that the hard way. You can present the facts to people, but if they don't want to accept the facts, I mean, what are you supposed to do in that situation is what I'm asking you, Game Changer, because once you present that to them, are you going to force them to do it, or should they do it?
Well, I mean, I think that I don't know who that was, but I think that people should know, and if not, I'll tell them, like, because I don't like doing stuff like this. But yeah, I would be the first to say, like, listen, we created this, even though we have different opinions and different points of views. Fantastic's in the big girls. I'm not in the big girls. There are conservatives and there are liberals here. One thing that unites us is we are all anti-gynocracy. If you are pro-gynocracy, then the automatic, I gotta go. I gotta go. That is the one thing, that's the one uniting thread that we have.
Well, I think you're speaking to something that I concluded a long time ago, is that everyone talks about this quote-unquote gynocracy, right? But there's a lot of brothers that really don't want to get rid of the gynocracy. And I've heard
they don't want to.
There's some brothers that didn't even know what the gynocracy was.
We got to stop acting like all these guys that are on here want to get rid of the gynocracy. I thought that too, Game Changer, until I saw the reaction when the women came into the space. Once I saw women and the way guys were reacting to women that they're never going to touch, they're never going to get a kiss from, they're never going to see. And I saw their reaction, not just one, but it felt like the majority was swaying to that. I said, wait, this whole idea that brothers are talking about, getting rid of the black matriarch and all that, it's bullshit. They don't feel like they're getting the attention from the black matriarchy that they think, because again, it's a think in their mind they deserve based on their social position. And as soon as those women just bat their eye at them dudes like, gynocracy, shit, this is healthy. So I guess you're just late to the party on this one, GC. But this has been going on for a while, bro.
Okay, so
that's a good point, man. He made it.
There's a difference between giving attention to attractive women and actually surrendering to their leadership, or seeing that she's seeking power over men and still obliging. Now, I did start to notice that right around the rise of Jessica X era. I did start to notice that, and yeah. I agree. That was not a good look. I started to come to a new realization about what thirst is doing to fellas. And listen, this isn't me trying to shame a brother for being that way, because that's just the state of the male situation as it is in modern times. MOT and I are around the same age, and things were different being a young man in the 90s and the early 2000s and stuff like that. There were no 30-year virgins, but now I hear like half of them are, so it's
That's
different.
That sounds like
no. I said, yeah, it's pretty
30-year-old virgin.
That sounds and that's what I mean by the mistake.
No, but right quick, Sigma. So I get it. It's a different environment, and it was kind of like a shock. Like, okay, this is how the new environment is reacting to a picture of breast. And
yes,
and, yeah.
No,
so,
a picture of cleavage, not breast. Cleavage,
yeah,
not breast.
Cleavage. Yeah. So it was a little shocking, but I mean, then I just kind of changed. Like, okay, what do we do with this? Fellas are thirstier, not to any fault of their own. They're not really as used to feminine attention as my generation and myself was. So they can't handle it. the same way. So yeah, I did notice it as a problem, one that I still haven't found a solution for. But let's not be egregious with it, you know. And Obsidian would be an example of somebody who's older who's falling for that, which is
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know, yeah. So there
but
is
he's
that.
leveraging.
He's profiting. He can profit off of it though. He's
Well, I
profiting.
think
Correct.
he wants to.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like,
See, I
this
just
is-
looked
this-
at it from the
this-
standpoint of I had to ask myself an honest question when I saw it, and I was good after I asked myself. I said, okay, you're a female. Because I already saw dudes doing it. Like I said, there is a panel that MOT has of him and I having this conversation. I said, if a man would do it, if a man could be broke and be none of the things that he's saying on YouTube, but then if he says it enough for long enough to enough naive people and become that, then think about a female. We know that women carry the most debt. We know that many of these women are broke. We know that many of these women in their real life are suffering. But imagine not having to really do much of anything, but just to be, you just have a feminine voice. Because you don't even have to be it could actually be a man with a voice changer. You see what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, like, just imagine someone's being able to do that, and then just out of nowhere, all these men that you never have to talk to, you don't have to go on dates with them. You could just sign on for an hour or two, and they will pay your rent for you. They will pay your boyfriend who you're fucking that's sitting on the couch, his PlayStation and all that, and you're getting all this money. And all you have to do is just talk about nothing or what other men have already been saying, but just with a feminine voice. I think most women in modern America that are under 40 are taking that deal. That's why I just ain't never really thought too hard on it. Because once I saw that that's what it was, you say, well, what do you do about it? I don't know if at this point you can really do anything about it, because the only thing that would change being that desperate is for the sexual marketplace to open up to the average man. And right now, the sexual marketplace has been shrinking and shrinking more and more for the average man. So I don't know, GC. I don't think that's going to change in the near future, at least.
No, it's true. And what I do worry about, and what I did worry about, is that, listen, OnlyFans exists, and it is a reflection of the, as you described, the shrinking sexual marketplace for the average man. You know, that's where they go. Not necessarily for sex. I watch porn. I don't do OnlyFans, but they're going there for feminine attention, having a woman say their name, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. However, it's saturated with women. And this space isn't. And I think that prospects, you know, is what's pulling some women into this space, which is why recently I've changed, and you know, I decided to focus my support on women who are separate from this space completely, and but still have a message of femininity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Still have the pick me message, but separate from the manosphere space. They're not looking for power or rank or position within the manosphere space. They're outside of it, like Chantel, like Danica, and like Melody slowly is moving towards, you know, yeah, like a separate organization like Eastern Star, or the you know, the AKAs, Deltas, Zetas,
Right,
and,
right,
you know,
yes.
yeah, separate, you know, but you don't have a position in the male hierarchy.
Yeah, and see, that's how I saw it too, GC. I saw it the same way. I always saw, like, you know, you have a fraternity, you have a sorority, and sometimes you come together and you cross-pollinate, but I don't try to become the head of the sorority, and the female doesn't try to become the head of the fraternity. See, that's how I always saw it too. But then things just got very mixed over the last year and a half, and that and it's like, I heard Angry Man talk about on his panel where he said that he thinks that the black majority of men will never win, and I'm convinced that he might be right about that, bro. I think that
No, he is right. He is right.
Yeah, I
well,
think
the
the method that works is that
if anybody don't
small
win,
men.
the definition of win.
But I do think that there was an idea that was out there when a lot of us first came in, that we can get lots of black men on the same page. And I think that what's been proven is that ain't going to happen. It's going to be individual men and a couple like-minded brothers that go off on their own path, and they're going to win. And most brothers are just going to be lost because, again, all this talk about the gynocracy, this and that, it's just like with white supremacy, how a lot of guys talk about it. But when you actually talk to them about how do you overcome white supremacy, what are the tools and methods to use, they don't have nothing to say no more. But they want to keep talking about it. So it's like the gynocracy and the black matriarch, something that's constantly talked about. But when it comes to actually, dismantling it, I don't think that most black men want to dismantle. I think there are some that want to, but I don't think the majority of black men want to dismantle the position that black women are in the majority at all. I think they just want to complain about it, but they don't really want to change it. That's just what I've concluded myself.
Now, why do you think? Here's the thing. I come across men who actually genuinely want to do that in real life, who never heard of the Manosphere. But why do you think that? Yeah. But I also come across the opposite. Don't get me wrong. But why do you think that is? Why do you think that they don't actually want it that bad?
Well, I think you just said in the real world, it's all about problem solving. When you're a black man in corporate America, or you're working for one of these government agencies, they are going to require that you bring in results. All right. Mm-hmm. So you have to operate in a very practical way in the real world, because if your rent's not paid, if you're not at job producing, they're going to let you go. But I guess with the online media thing, there is no one telling you, well, you got to sign off at this time. You can constantly delude yourself and keep hearing the same message without ever actually getting results or changing. I think that's why you're comparing the real world with just social media at large. I don't think it's the same.
I'll tell you what it is, because I got it. I said, the reason why you sit up here and say, yeah, they do want to change. But the problem is the change will cause, it'd be like this. The cause of you fighting for the change, there is effects of fighting for that cause. And a lot of people are not in the financial predicament there is. Like, if you've noticed, as much as I've talked about my children's mother, that plenty of people have tried to find them and actually went and got them. But they know that, my dad, my baby daddy is that man, and he don't care about, not everybody's built like me and can take being hated by multiple people. Does not bother me. I actually live for that shit. But I mean, it's consequences to that. You can, like me, I can live in that predicament, but think about it. I have my own revenue streams where you can't touch. So you can't put me out there to where next week I'm going to be sitting there with a cup in my hand, where in somebody else who has a job at any place can actually be touched. These people can reach out and touch these people and make it to where their livelihood is upside down. And a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck, and somebody tell you, think about it, you just getting online, talking to some people, and now all of a sudden you're looking for another fucking job. Or now they done brought turmoil to your job, even if you didn't get fired, but they done told shit. So now you got problems at work, and that's making you go through more stress than you normally do. Not everybody's an independent contractor like that. Like MOT is one of them ones. You really can't get to him like that because, you know, what he does, and he's independent. But I mean, not everybody is like untouchable on certain aspects.
That's a good point, bro. Yeah, that's a good point. Well, no,
look, this is the problem too. Like, the reason why I've had my children's mother said people call them and say that, but the reason why they know I am this type of person in real life. I don't mind hurting somebody, which is not always a good thing. I don't mind giving them a piece of my mind, and I don't give a fuck about your feelings. I am that type of person. But it has this good thing. Y'all say, oh, that must be good to be able to be that way. But also, there's some Achilles heels of being that type of person either, too, because people say, well, you know, this nigga don't give a shit about nobody, so what do you care? I mean, it goes both ways. It cut both ways. But, I mean, imagine if somebody said, you can't eat tomorrow.
Environments, see, you're in an environment where you control your time. You have a special skill. That's a very unique position to be in, and I think a lot of black men should look to you and MOT as models for what we need to be doing, because black men that have to be in these organizations, what you find out is that many of them, if they're not outright matriarchal, they lean towards the agenda of like the feminist agenda and the matriarchal.
They have to, because when they stand up, like just give an example. The only thing that cost me that $40,000 gig and losing those big business contracts downtown is because a woman wanted to talk to me. I didn't give her the time of day. Then she said something that somebody else did, and I didn't take her side. So once I didn't take her side, because I was just neutral, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I really wasn't there, so I can't, say what happened. All of a sudden, 2 days later, now I'm always then it's like, wait a minute, we're going to have to get rid of this guy. When it's like, wait a minute, I done set records. Y'all said I was the best employee y'all ever had, this, that, and the other. Now all of a sudden you talking about making me city manager over $40 million of property in Cleveland, and then how can you go from that 1 week to now you out the door?
Oh, I've seen that.
Wait. No.
Oh yeah, all the
Judge,
time.
It's gonna be
Judge, no,
charging over $40 million in property, $40 million in real estate, more money than all these niggas listening to the show now. I would have been in control of.
No,
and
fellas,
then the next day I'm out the door.
We gotta stop with this whole honorable thing and no snitching policy. Listen, what she did to you is some Me Too shit.
Well,
Let's be clear. Yeah,
we know that.
Turn her in, call her in. I don't call her.
I did. Well, we all. But this the problem is this. I had to meet. Listen.
No, because they talk to
her name was Betty. Look. I have no problem with mentioning her name, but this is the problem. Her name was Betty. I actually did turn her in, but I didn't realize because Betty's best friend is a LGBT guy who our previous city manager who was retiring this year. He'd be retiring this year, and I was going to take over his job, being overcharged of $40 million in property. He's her best friend's boyfriend, so they all LGB, whatever you want to call them, and all that. But what happened is my contact through the main company in Cincinnati. When I contacted them, I didn't realize that my contact, who I gave all the information when I tried to get them all fired, was actually the LGBT gay friend, right-hand man.
And that's a part of their agenda.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, even though I had pictures, proof, and all that, they put up a roadblock because I even tried to get a lawyer involved. They put up a roadblock because, wait a minute, this person was friends with that person. These people in a gay clique together, this, that, and the other. That's the reason why. And
you're not a part of that.
And not right. When you ain't gay, you ain't, think about it. I'm not a woman. I'm not gay. Yeah. And then I'm on top of that, bringing them down to where they would look like bad because they were using alcohol and stuff on the premises of the properties. Come on,
and that's something that I've had arguments with brothers in these spaces with about too, is that this whole thing with the intersectional, it doesn't include heterosexual black men at all.
No,
you're right. We saw what kind of happened with this whole. We're a year and a half in, and we've seen what happened with Black Lives Matters. Their whole organization is crumbling. Many of them are being brought up on charges of fraud and theft, all that stuff, right? But all that was raised off of the death of black men. So ultimately, the situation that you went through, Dre, that's actually the normal thing that you get in those environments if you're a heterosexual black man. It's the normal.
Thank you. Right. I mean, what's so bad is what they did even after that to make sure that I could never get it. They walled off everything where I couldn't get in touch with the only person people I got in touch with that worked for the company. Because this company probably has $500 million worth of real estate in the United States alone.
Oh, okay. Oh, you thought you was gonna talk to the McDonald's CEO?
Right. No. I went above them. I went above them. I went like literally, but I didn't realize my contact out of state was best friends with them. And I didn't find that out until after I got canned. And what I'm trying to say, when they can you and blackball you, they do. It was like motherfuckers in a company who really love me. All of a sudden that day, it was like, boom, do not speak to that nigga. And it was like, well, I mean, black people that I knew, they wouldn't speak because basically it was like this. If you even spoke to this nigga, we was getting you next. So it was like a black dude that stood up. He was like, man, this is the best. How in the world he go from being top dude, about to be take over 40 million to bye, you're out of here. No, you got to go.
See, that's why when Game Changer was talking about he don't know what to do in this situation, I've been through that frustrating situation he's in because the situation you're going through, Dre, is because there's not enough black men that make it into those kind of spaces that have any power of decision and hiring. And that's why someone like GC, he will say he don't really know what to do. Because I realized it a long time ago. Because I was looking at being in these environments. I'm like, damn, why am I the only black man here?
Well, what do you think? As soon as I got in, I'm not gonna lie. As soon as I got in, they already knew. Just like the company I'm working with a group of people on houses now. I was the only black person. When I got in there, I brought 2 other black people in. I'm like, because I ain't gonna lie. I'm like, if I would have took over, hate to say something, it would have been all black people within 3 years. I mean, I wouldn't have just hired them just because they was black, but I would have been fine. Even if I had to get online and network, hey, yeah, niggas, y'all need to send me somebody who can do leases. The nigga can come live with me for the first 8 months to a year just so I can put a black person in this position. Because I ain't gonna lie, I was gonna put us all on. Hey man,
I never ran into a black
here's
HR
what I mean
man.
when I say I don't know. I don't know what to like. It's still like a shock to me because like the magnitude. Because you of men, how malleable men are. Like I did not know that en masse we were that malleable, especially in a space where you allegedly are trying to fight against feminine control.
Well,
like,
you gotta be careful.
It's kind of like that scene from Revenge of the Sith where he was like, we're going to be reformed into a galactic empire, and then like all the senators were cheering it on. It's like, and Padme was just sitting there like, oh, what the hell?
What?
Like,
You
really?
were the one, Anakin. You were the chosen one. So Game Changer is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Palpatine just said to everybody, I'm taking over control. I'm taking all your power from you, and they were cheering it on. Like, what do you do? What do you do with that? I would just be like,
okay, Obi-Wan. Well, GC is basically saying that you're Obi-Wan Kenobi. See what's going on? You're Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda. You remember in the Star Wars when it all happened, and because Obi-Wan, his apprentice was Darth Vader. Well, he was Anakin at the time. And remember when he was so broken because he was like, you're the one. You were supposed to be the light, not the dark side. And he had to fight him. And that's probably what you're going through right now. You're finding out that you thought that they were all Jedi, but some of the Jedi were actually the Sith.
Exactly. And you know what Obi-Wan did? He took that saber out. He said, look, I'm gonna do what I must. He didn't say I'm gonna do what I want to do. He said I'm gonna do what I have to do. This video is me doing what I have to do. Like,
think that for people to get up there and to have like the balls, like think about the shit that I've said that, hey man, these are mistakes that I made in life. I mean, easily the things that I'm guilty of doing, they could easily, even women could take that and run back. Yeah, see, that guy right there said back when he was younger, he didn't pay his child support, or he really didn't want no kids or whatever. And they can just ad lib on that and destroy a person in the social world, because the problem is, it's like as soon as you say something negative, especially about a black man, it plants seeds in their mind and it just grows, especially. That's why I said I feel sorry for, not for the people that can't speak. I've just been lucky that I have so many other forms of revenue stream where I got so many other different hustles where, hey, I realized the beautiful thing about having multiple streams of hustle and stuff like that is then you get the freedom to speak your mind. Yeah, motherfucker.
Well, I have that freedom. I just can't show my face while I'm doing it.
Yeah, but you understand.
And it's not that I don't have money. It's just that I don't want to spend money to say it.
Right. But you understand I can show my face. I can say some shit that you don't like. I can even say that I want to break somebody in half, if the whatever. And what can you do? Nothing. And they hate men like me, especially.
See the thing, Dre, like CC.
Real quick, if I may. So shout out to Melody, Sweet Melody Speaks. Thanks for your support. Look at the message that's on here. It says, "Being a feminist never stopped me from having a man." Yes, it did.
It
did. What? No. See, here's what she knows, but she thinks that we don't know. It did stop you from having a man. A real man wouldn't be with a goddamn feminist.
Thank you.
So just by virtue of being with you, he's not a real man. You want to know why you here? Because you like the timbre of a real man's voice. That's what it is. You like to hear real men speak about it and get you moist and stuff like that. You're a damn feminist. The reason that you are here is so you can have real men fantasy, so you can thirst over us, just the same way these niggas be thirsting over the chicks in the space. That is the actual reason that you here. It did stop you from having a man, and you know it. You know
message.
Exactly.
Yeah. But you see, she has a Bravo out for November, but she thinks that's a man because she got control over that shit.
Right.
And she loves her man. Her man is so good and so high quality that she wants to spend her time in a space with listening to strange men when she could be doing something like serving her man and doing something else with her time. But no,
serve male feminists.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, your man's so good. Oh, look like this. If your man is so good, then you should be able to yeah, man, my man is so good, and you should be over there giving them some.
Yeah, you should, what does GC say?
Not over here with us.
Sandwich. We'll make him a sandwich.
Right.
That's not what she's doing. She's actually looking.
She got a man like Roomba. She got a man on Roomba. All over the vacuuming up shit, man.
Nah, she got
autonomously.
She got a metaverse, man. She got a metaverse character. Her man is one of the bored 8 yacht club.
No, serve like a wife. And yes, if you are that, you know what that means? That means that you're his property and he owns you. And yes, that is very similar to a slave, except you choose your master. You choose your master. And the reason why you haven't selected one completely is because you a damn feminist. And the only in the men that comes your way aren't master worthy. You damn right. It's something like a slave.
Right.
Every man that go to work is something like a slave.
Think about it. They always go to the extreme. No,
look at her name.
Exactly.
Look at her name.
They always go to the extreme, bro. Like when it comes to a man and his resources, more men need to turn the tables on women and say, "What is it a slave? Oh, you want me to go buy you this purse? Is it like a slave? Like a slave would? I'm your slave." They always use a slave when it comes to them having some level of obligation to do something to satisfy and please me as a man. So if she has a man, I feel sorry for that man that he has to come home to a woman who spends her time worried about strange men, but then sees performing her duties when he gets back home as, am I a slave?
Well, no, but she gonna be fantasizing about us while he's trying to lay the pipe, because he ain't probably doing it his weak ass man that she got. Damn. So she's gonna be thinking, oh, well, I picture if he was one of them real men up on the panel. Like, oh shit, he's buying me a stove. Oh,
nah,
look at that eye burner. Oh my gosh, she's got that one of them high output burners on there. What, convectional oven? Oh,
you giving her too much credit, bro. We done had so many women like this in these spaces before that they don't got a man, bro. Like I would say,
convectional oven. Oh, wait. You bought a microwave to go over that stove too? Oh, wait a minute.
No, this is stovetop stuff at level of attention, man.
Well, somebody said something like, you would sleep with a feminist. Listen, yes, I would bang Janae Moore. I would. And I made no secret about that. Everybody know that I would hate fuck Janae Moore. That's different. But would she have me? Would I be her? No.
She would be a jump off. Feminists will jump off all day. And she don't realize she a jump off. That's this the problem. She may
or may not be a jump off. Janae Moore is a jump off because she's bad as hell. She might not even
I'm talking about this girl in the chat room. She's a jump off all day. You don't realize something. As soon as another broad that treat him any type of respect, he's gone.
Exactly.
That's the bad thing about y'all women being like that. You don't realize something. You make it easy. If you got a good dude and you don't say anything about him, talk about that shit at work, one of them motherfuckers at work gonna hear about that shit and they gonna, oh, wait a minute, that bitch don't do this, that, and the other. All I gotta do is suck some D or maybe make some chicken and then I can take this nigga and then I got his check and mine. You're right. That's all I gotta do.
I just always wonder, like, how do you guys feel like when you see so many women that they feel that they have to come to a male space and they say they got a man or a husband? Like, I don't know any dudes that are running around telling me that have ever told me, like, man, I really want to choose that chick that wants to talk to strange men all day and all night while I'm at work. I've never met that guy. Like, is this a new thing?
No, that's because the guy don't fucking exist.
It's weird. That's why my girl don't know I do this. It's weird as hell if you're not doing it for career purposes. But imagine how Crystal Carol's husband felt, like no wonder that nigga. I would get tired. That is some weird. Yeah. If I'm married to a white chick and she's talking to white women about white men all day, I would think that is so bizarre. I would think that she obviously has a thing for white dudes still.
Well, you would have been right though, right? Because
for black dudes,
like she ended up like folding up her
No, for white
condo
dudes. If she's
table and
with
going
me,
with a black dude,
but
right?
she's talking about white men all the time. I would assume that she's still holding a torch. And
But you
that,
would have assumed right though, because
yeah,
her
no, it
she
is right.
proved that to be right.
Yeah.
All those years misleading all those black women, and then come to find out she closed up shop, went off with the next black dude that came around.
I heard about that. No,
I mean,
I
she
didn't.
said it
I was
herself.
on some say it ain't so stuff, but I heard about that.
Everybody.
I mean, but it was a plan from the first beginning. That was the plan from the first beginning. You guys have to understand that they're willing to play this long game as long as they get what they want in the end. They close up shop like fucking Command and Conquer, and you delete the fucking command post. That shit just folds up and they out of there, man. What it is?
Yeah, man, like just out. I mean, she created a whole movement, bro. She got paid.
Yeah.
She got paid, and then it was like, up, back to jump on the ding-a-ling of the black man. It's just like, that's why I'm telling you, bro.
Well, basically, she did an Obsidian.
You said what?
I said basically she did an Obsidian, but she actually got dick. She actually got sex out of it.
Oh,
she said
she did it at a way higher level because she built up. She got paid, bro. Like,
she got paid. Yeah.
When you see how those women be giving money to those chicks,
I think
she walked away with a nice, beautiful bag to get to that brother that was like, you know what, I'll accept you with all these mulattoes and all that ghetto gagger residue. Just go ahead and pay this rent for me. So I think that's what happened.
All these mulattoes.
What's so bad is he gonna kick her ass to the curb eventually, and then she'd be right on back.
Probably so, yeah. You probably right about that.
Well, it depends because you know, what did you call it? Diminished output for middle class.
Diminished returns, the law of diminishing returns.
No, you were saying like diminished sexual market or shrinking sexual market for middle class men. Yeah. So I think with that, it is affording women like Crystalline Karazin, who reasonably held it together at her late age. Yeah. You know, I think that it is giving them a sexual marketplace advantage that normally wouldn't exist.
Facts.
It shouldn't exist.
You're not lying at all about that, GC. I found that out when I tried to upload one of the dating apps. I was on there for about a week. I said, delete.
Yeah.
It was full of, older women, 45, 50-year-old women, and they wasn't coming with the humble. You know what I'm saying? They was coming with like, yo, I'm the best thing available out here. What you gonna do?
Yeah.
They coming at it like that. So I think
get a passport. You should have typed that. What you gonna do? Get a passport? Quick.
Come on, bro. I was out there in Seattle for about a month, and so I'm moving around. You already know I ain't no chasing after 50-year-old women, bro. But I'm just telling you that when you out here in these streets in 2022, the older women do come at you like that. Like they're not coming at you on no humble. My sexual marketplace value is low. They're coming at you like, yo, there's a lot of dudes your age chasing after them. You better get in on this good and this old while you can. That's how they're coming at. Yeah.
MOT, I want to ask you a question. I got to leave, but I just want to ask this question.
Hey, my actual email is in the back chat. Could you email me behind the scenes after you get up here? All right.
Okay,
go ahead, man.
Yeah, I'm about to close up shop.
I put my email there too. I want you to think about what I'm finna say. All right? And I've been saying it ever since I came in here. So suppose you're a country, all right? And you got a divide in your country, all right? And you want to stop this divide. But the only way you can stop this divide is in your country is you got to cut off certain resources. But the organization you are in, that financial institution that gives your country and supports your country, is the same one who's supporting the division in your country. Yep. How do you win that war? And the reason why I ask you that question,
smart.
I've been saying this every time I say it. Until we build the right kind of financial institution to make ourselves separate from mainstream corporation, where they are in the head, we are in the head of our own financial institution, then the people that we say don't exist won't have no more use for her. So she has to come back to us. So that's when we look at it in war, we understand it. But when we look at it, we look at it in men and women, we don't understand how simple this is. She's not ever going to submit to you as long as she's getting her finance from the same doorstep you getting yours. And especially when she get advantages for going to that door too. She get advantages over you. So how's she gonna ever submit to you because you can't show her anything different because y'all both at the same doorstep?
Well,
I think OG that women aren't submitting solely to wealth and money.
No, I want
Well,
MOT to answer that.
let me rock.
He
Let
can
me
answer
rock,
it better
JP.
from a war tactic.
No,
and then we can.
I get it, but you see, here's the thing: you're at war with somebody whose nature is to surrender, and
But anybody's nature should be changed.
Well, right quick, let me rock, please.
Okay,
That's
I'm
really
sorry.
not something that men are used to. It's in a woman's nature to surrender. We don't notice because we're not even putting up a fight. Like once they see a significant fight, they're going to want to surrender. Like that's just how they are. That's just what women do. Like, they're different.
So are you
in that
saying the
regard.
spoils of the war goes back to the loser?
Huh?
Are you saying the spoils of the war goes back to the loser?
That's not what I'm saying at all.
Well, really, you are, because my argument was totally different from what you just got through saying.
No.
My statement was totally different. I'm not arguing, but my statement was totally
the
different
way
from what
to
you just
win the
said.
war, and you're talking about in a gender war, is to cut off resources, and in this case, money. What I'm saying is that I think the way to win is to put up a fight and wait for them to surrender because that's what it's in their nature to do.
But how can you put? My question was, how can you put up a fight when you're getting your resources from the same person who's giving her resources? It's not even a fight.
But J Speed, though,
Not a
doesn't that
war over
apply to every
resources.
man on
I
the
get what
planet,
you're
though?
saying.
But hold
You
on,
get what
but
I'm
I have a
saying,
question,
Game
though. Hold
Changer?
on.
I get what you're saying.
J Speed, just let me just throw this at you real quick, J Speed. That argument, the reason that to me I can't buy it is because technically every man on the planet is getting his money from the same resources because we have a system of central banking, and a lot of our money comes from like the World Bank, the IMF, and a lot of the Federal Reserve. They're invested in all the other central banks of the whole planet. So the whole planet is really run by a network of corporate banks. So ultimately, everyone is getting their money from the same system, whether you're in China, New York, Venezuela. Really, the money is more centralized probably now than ever. So when I hear that argument, I'm like, where the hell do you want these men to go to? Because wherever they go, the money is still coming from central banks. So it's all coming from the same place, no matter where you go on the planet.
Okay, because you're making the argument a little more complex than what my statement was, my brother. You're correct. If there's only so much air on the fucking planet, all the air is coming from the same place. All right? But if you was able to take that air and put it in some kind of vessel where you could sell it, then yes, it's all coming from the same source. But the ones who are in charge in selling that air is the one who's in control. That's what I'm saying. Regardless of where the money comes from, the same resource.
Hey, Dre, I think that's your mic. Hold on, JP. One of y'all mic is really messing up. I can't hear you, bro. Hey, Dre, I think it's you, Dre. Your mic. Yeah, go ahead, JP.
Okay. What I'm saying is, if you're able to cornerstone whatever you're trying to sell, even though it might be coming from the same source, you're going to have the value of money is really the understanding of people who gives it value. But what I'm saying is, your house, the way you run your house, brother, once that money comes in your house, that's your resource, regardless of where it came from. And you can choose to do whatever you want to. What I'm saying is, what we haven't did is build enough financial institution where we can stand on our own square. And then, even though on the other side of the people who are supplying that person with that finance, they no longer need them anymore, because now it's the fight between the two people versus using a middle person to get to the second person. A flanking move.
Yo, Jason.
But
go ahead, MT. That question was for you, because I know you know. Even if you agree with or not agree with what I'm saying, you understand what I'm saying.
Unfortunately, the only way to quickly get to the point that you're talking about is you got to support their needs. You got to go out here and create all these nonprofit organizations and clean up after them. Make your millions of dollars and create your own shit on the side, your separate level of power. That's the only way that I've ever been able to do it. I didn't like doing it that way, but you have to, because their needs are going to get supported no matter what. How come it can't be by you?
There you go.
And J Speed though, and MOT. So my response to both of you would be, Okay, so JSP was talking about not controlling the financial institutions, but we know that there were many black banks, black insurance companies, and blacks owning their finances, even up until very recently. Now it's only down to like 3 black-owned majority banks, but that's because the people themselves chose not to support it. So a lot of those guys were like, hey, I built this financial institution, but you guys aren't supporting me. So now I got to make a choice. Do I keep struggling underwater, or do I sell out to a larger bank and merge with them? And a lot of them say, you know what? I'm taking this check. I'm merging with these other banks because they're not talking a race-based thing. They're talking a finance and a profit thing. And I think, JSP, what I was trying to say to you is just that ultimately when you're doing business, you're going to run up into the fact that you can get a bigger profit if you open yourself up to the bigger market. And I think that a lot of black folks, especially black men that own those banks, said, I'm going to take that bigger check because it's not worth struggling just to get a pat on the back from the black majority. You're older, so you tell me, JSP, is that not what actually happened?
Well, you was talking about, see, this is why it's so bad to go back in time. You're talking about a different time and a different mindset. See, this mindset that we are dealing with now is different than the mindset that we was dealing back then. So what you say do apply to that mindset, but I'm talking about this mindset. How do you go back and learn from the mistake, even though it was a different mindset? So you are correct when you say it happened in that way. But I'm saying a man don't build his own financial institute without protections and everything else. What I'm speaking in, you can already see it across the street anyway. So if it's not gonna work, why is it working for them? So you got to take the examples right there in your face. It have worked for him all over this world, and you saying it can't
you have
work
to
for
build.
us?
It can, but it starts with very few individuals, man. Like under 7% are going to be the people who's going to be out front doing this shit. It's not going to be 30-40%. It's never that way. It's never been that way.
Yeah, and just like I say, I have my rush theory. It always starts off with a spot, and then it eats up the whole panel. Yeah, it has to have a starting point, but trying to old people used to say, "Who wants to eat? Who wants to bite the hand that's feeding them?" And that's what we are dealing with. Regardless of you say it's financial or whatever, status, whatever, it's everything from institution and everything. Who wants to bite out the hand who's feeding them? Until we get something that we can feed, then no one on the opposite side go want to bite off that hand.
Yeah, but JP, like this is why I have to have you on for a one-on-one. This is a very good conversation, but you have to have it all the way to the end.
Yes, sir.
With solutions.
Yes, sir. That's what
you have to have it all the way to the end with solutions in front of people, so that way they can understand that what you're saying is not difficult to pull off, because I've done it myself. But people need to know, and then we need to start moving in that direction. Because if they're going to pay for a certain thing regardless of output and outcome, that's something we need to go into, regardless of output and outcome.
Yes, sir. And I agree with you one on that. But just coming up with problems or seeing what the problem with no solution, you still is the problem.
But I think JSP, where I know that you're seeing it from the broader view, but I think what has happened to a lot of black men, especially younger men, especially like me, is that the current system that we're in, a lot of us are making a lot of headway and being successful within the current system as globalized citizens, because we're in a globalized marketplace. And I think a lot of brothers have just embraced it and said, hey, I'm going to make this system that's here work for me. And if they're able to get the results they want, it's going to be kind of hard to get them to say to that person, hey, I got a new system. It isn't a proven product or anything like that, but you should come do this system. I just think that's kind of where there's a divide with a lot of black men.
Yeah, you're correct with that. Look, brother, I got to one of the producers that we was working together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was always complaining about, they won't buy my scripts, or they just shuts down my projects. I can't raise enough funds. And I said, how many people are you dealing with in the United States? And he said, close to 400 something million people. I asked him, what is your content is most about? He said it's most about black life. And I said, how many people in Africa? He said 1.2 billion people in Africa. I say, don't you know African, same as Hollywood, is making almost 3 times more than Hollywood with video cams? I say you're selling to a certain, you're stifling yourself by trying to sell to 40 million black people over here. When you have a whole continent, you can make your stuff universal. Every race, Latino do the same thing. If you look at all the other, and I hate bringing up other races, so I'm gonna just stick with black. And he did it, and he's doing very well now in Africa with his production. And matter of fact, most of his production are dealing with African people with the same content he would have did here with American people, and he's doing very well.
Hey,
Sometimes our visions are so short.
Do we do those Nollywood movies?
Yes, sir.
That's
yes,
crap.
sir.
Those movies are crap.
I understand, but wait. You got to understand, soap operas in this country was crap. It had nice music, it had white people in it, but you look at the content, it was crap.
Yeah.
So crap do sell, and so maybe you can build something where you can make real movies, because sometimes people like low budget crap, where you can build your brand to making the kind of movies, because I know the kind of movies he wants to make. I know the kind of movies he wants to make, but he won't never be able to make them type of movies if he's just trying to sell to 40 million black people in America. He got to make himself universal.
I get what you're saying. Have some economic independence for you about yourself. I get you.
Right. So that's just part of what MOT was saying. I got to go. Look, man, it's been a charm being on your counter.
Appreciate you.
I'm always support content, even agree or don't agree, because I think the conversation must go on. You know what I mean?
Appreciate that,
so,
bro.
You take it easy.
All right,
y'all taking MOT, get in touch
All right,
with
cool.
me.
All right. Yeah. They already emailed you. Yeah.
All right, well, thanks for having me, DC. I think it's a needed conversation when it comes to where people stand. But I just think that some brothers, again, someone like me, I like seeing brothers like yourself speaking against the misandry part of it, and speak. That's what's always been valuable to me in these conversations. But there's another lane where it's just about the money and the fame, and that's fine. I'm not gonna be in that lane. I'm not gonna get that fame. But I'm definitely glad that brothers like you will still have these conversations. I hope that you get the support that you want. But ultimately, when it comes to these digital spaces, the audience speaks with their wallet, bro, and their views. And so there's always going to be guys that their principle is based on the wallet. So whatever they believe that's where the good conversation that will lead to them getting paid is at, they're going to go that direction. And then you're going to have the other guys who say, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say something just to get paid. So people just have to just choose which lane they want. But it's going to keep going on. You're going to have these 2 lanes. You're going to have those that are doing it for this reason, and you're going to have guys that are doing it for that reason. And unfortunately, we live in a society where people like to hear that makes them feel good, not what necessarily is what they need to hear. So, good luck on your mission, and you have a good one too, MOT, the panel, the viewers.
Okay, Sigma. Hey, I want to have you on for one-on-one, man.
What's that?
I want to have you on for one-on-one.
Yeah, like hit me up, man. I sent you my new email because I had got like an email at my
for real?
email address from. Yeah, I sent you an email letting you know that you got to hit me up at King Sigma 123. King Sigma 123 because you
123. Okay, all right.
One.
Email me too, Sigma, so I can have that.
All right, bro. You guys have a good one.
Okay.
All right, you too.
All right, cool. Yeah.
MOT,
yeah, man.
Go for it.
Yeah, I want you to thank you for having me on. This truck that I was driving in like 2 years ago, as you do all my live streams online. As you can see, I haven't dropped. I'm driving like 90 miles an hour on the highway. So apparently this works as good as it did 2 years ago when I was doing all live streams while driving. So yeah, man, but thanks for having me on, man. And I have a question. We still got to do that one-on-one about red pill. Like, how long can a person claim to be red pill? Because I think a red pill person is just a red herring. I don't think it could be that for that long.
Yeah, hit me up.
All right, cool.
I want to have that conversation with you. And you know something? I think AM want to back you, and he's been hitting me up on that. So we could just do the 3 of us if you want to do it that way, or if you want to do it one, that's up to you.
So yeah, we'll do that. All right, cool, man. Well, no, thanks for having me on, man.
All right, peace. All right.
All right, cool.
Well, I have everybody here. First of all, thanks to Mr. Shane Vicious again. It says, you don't overcome white supremacy, you outlast it. Absolutely, which is why I do think that, listen, gynocracy, even if it's successful and means that it sustains power for women. It's not long-term sustainable for everyone, because the birth rate in gynocracies are extraordinarily low. So no matter what, it's going to diminish, which means that you're not going to outlast anything. So yeah, that is a problem with gynocracy. So you won't be able to outlast any other culture if you live in a gynocracy. It's a losing formula, as always. So, but yeah, I definitely agree that white supremacy is not the problem. And it is something that can be outlasted, especially if they surrender themselves to their own gynocracy and their own type of problems. Because basically, we in the Black community has inherited first world problems, or excuse me, what do you call that? Yeah, first world problems and third world problems, meaning that we have the problems of poor communities as well as the problems of wealthy communities. And a gynocracy, spoiled women, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Those are problems of wealthy communities, and we're not a wealthy community. So yeah, we're getting beat by both sticks. We're getting beat by a silver stick, and we're getting beat by a wooden stick. It's a shame, or a platinum stick and a wooden stick. But thanks for that. Also, I'm gonna take this opportunity to thank the people who, and I always appreciate this, the people who send me cash apps when I am not logged in. I'm not doing a show or anything, and for whatever reason, maybe somebody's listening to like a past show or something. They just see the need to hit your boy up. So, appreciate you. Freeman's Journal did it 3 times. Appreciate that. Let's see. These go back January 21st, 25th, and 27th. Deacon Dave also on the 27th. Appreciate you. On the 11th of February, we got, let's see, F Holiday. It says comedy against Femi woke madness. Okay, appreciate you. Maybe I was on Bernard's when he said that. Appreciate you nonetheless. Let's see. KD, a large one. Appreciate you. Freeman's Journal again on the 3rd of this month. Appreciate you. SKC says, apology for the scheduling mistake. This was when SKC and I did that show, and he was late because of a scheduling mistake, but appreciate you nonetheless. He actually sent this during the show, but I didn't see it until afterwards. And number 16 sent me a cash app because of a movie night Zoom link thing. Appreciate you. And yeah, and now we're into today. So appreciate you all. All right. So with that being read, I'd like to thank the cash apps and super chats, managers and moderators, those who are listening silently, and those who participate in the chat. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out. And remember, this is Game Changer 00100. Game over. Peace.